Alright, welcome everybody to the most important day of the Shadowverse Open that you have ever seen. The most important day! I'm ready, that's Mofu and that's Envy. Now, do you guys know why today is the most important day? You have any idea? No.
I don't
Nobody,
know, no.
Nobody knows! No. It's the most important day because we're talking about Chronogenesis, we're talking about the next season of the Shadowverse Open, and we're also talking about Europe versus North America. And you know what that means, my friends? That there is one conclusive answer that's going to be found at the end of this broadcast. Actually, that's even a lie. They could go 3-3. They could actually just tie.
Don't we know what happened last time, though? Wasn't it a sweep completely? Didn't EU completely destroy?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened last time.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and check the tapes. You know, I confess, I didn't actually recap myself on the detailings of the last time Europe fought North America.
I remember last time. I was all go NA, and they disappointed me.
And they
they got destroyed.
Envy's gonna come beat every single one of you up if you fail her again.
Yeah.
North America better step up the game. But we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff on the show today. Not only Europe versus North America, but as I mentioned, Chronogenesis, we have a few new cards to reveal. Also, after the break, we're going to talk about 2018 Shadowverse Open and what's going to happen there. Give you some details about that so you guys can know what the next season is going to be like. So we have a lot of really cool stuff. We're going to get to talk to players. We're going to get to see them play some wacky show matches here, and it's just going to be a good time in general. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think after the insanity of yesterday and all the finals, I'm just glad to be here and be able to kick back, relax, and watch some Europe versus North America. So with that said, let's jump right into the show here. As you guys, if you've been following a lot of the announcements that Shadowverse has been putting out, they've been teasing the new cards as they do for Chronogenesis, and the big hype is around Portalcraft. So we're going to review a lot of the Portalcraft cards that have been coming out and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together to understand what this class is really going to be bringing. And to kick that off, we're going to be first looking at some Portalcraft tokens. I believe there's 5 of them that we're going to look at and just get an idea for what these tokens are like, which somehow I think are going to be pretty key to the class, apparently, by way of the nature of the class. Artifacts, I believe, are token cards, so we're going to get to see a few of those. I think I'm ready to get into it. Mofu, I know that you've been really looking into Portalcraft a lot, and there are a lot of things that you have to say, right? I think,
yeah,
are we keeping them true to the 10-word minimum per question?
Yeah.
Oh god, do I actually have to do that?
Oh wow, hey, pretty good. So you're pretty good at it. You're pretty good at it. No, you don't have, just keep talking. Honestly, Envy and I can just sit here and just listen to you talk. Do we have a full screen of Mofu that we can actually show? Whenever he does that, he can just keep talking.
Completely.
Just get the spotlight.
Yeah, skip just the spotlight on Mofu entirely. But let's look at some of these tokens and get acquainted with some Portalcraft cards. So this one is Radiant Artifact 5, play point 4/3, and it can evolve for full stats. Okay, and it says it has Storm, and its last words are, if it is your turn, then put a random artifact card from your deck into your hand, and if it's on your opponent's turn, you draw a card instead. So what I'm going to do here is, Mofu, first impressions, anything, card art, card text, stats. Is this crazy? What are we looking at here?
That card art looks straight out of an anime, like with like orchestral music blaring.
It does, yeah.
You have to get into a mecha to fight this thing. But I think that this is the strongest of the revealed tokens of artifacts. It's got Storm on an amazing stat line for it. It's a ton of damage. Last Words gives you value no matter whose turn it is. It kind of gives your opponent a decision on whether they want to keep you in resonance if you're in it or keep you out of it, but you can manipulate that. The thing I wanted to point out about this card is I looked at what's been revealed so far. I don't think there's any cards that specifically only gives you Radiant artifacts. The only way to get it is with cards that randomly shuffle in one of the 4, so it might be hard to find it, but I think this is absolutely just perhaps the strongest artifact they've revealed.
Interesting. So you think this is kind of the top of the line, which would make sense. I mean, a 5 play point for 4 damage on a body is pretty insane. What do you think, Evie?
I agree. It's definitely one of the better ones. I think there's a 3 play point one that I would also enjoy getting, but converting 5 play points into 4 or 6 storm damage. I've been playing for 2 years, and it's really hard to make a storm card bad. 5 play points for 6 damage it's a pretty good conversion. It's good reach. But like Mofu said, it's hard to put this card specifically in your deck because you can't just run these cards. So it's not dependable like a Dark General is, right? 4 play points for the same stat line with Storm if you're in Vengeance. You can't just put this in your deck like you could Dark General. So it'll be interesting.
Are there any cards in Portalcraft that have been revealed so far that puts artifacts into play? Or is it always just searching into hand? Okay.
Always searching and putting into deck so far, yeah.
Because that would be insane. It's just like, oh, sorry, we found this one. You're dead now.
Let's not Rainy Design. Let's not let Rainy Design.
Hey, Rainy Design is the best. Rainy Design
this is the one I was talking about. This one is my favorite by far. I love this one. 3 play points.
Why don't you kick it off for us then?
Oh, so good.
Talk to us about. Read through the card for all the viewers and then just dump your thoughts about it on us.
So 3 play point 2/3 ward, a fanfare draw card. Very comparable to, it's like a mix of Grimner and Pure-Hearted Singer, right? Grimner is the same stat line with ward, but Pure-Hearted Singer draws the card when it comes into play. Mixing those 2 cards, those 2 highly playable cards together is just so much value. This is probably one of, I don't know what that art is, but it's probably one of my favorite cards I've seen in the expansion so far. This card alone
what is going on here?
I don't know what that is. So let me look at Mystic Artifact. It looks like it's looking into a city or something like that. What?
It's like a snow globe from the castle in the sky. Like...
yeah.
I don't care what it looks like. I care about what it does, man. It does so much.
I care about what it looks like, Envy. I think it's beautiful.
I mean, it evolves into a more glowy globe thing. So
yeah. Glowy globe thing. Yeah. I think card draw is something that's really big, obviously, in Shadowverse. The question remains, how quickly can you actually search artifacts on a 1-2-3 curve? I don't know what that curve looks like for Portalcraft, but to me, I mean, if we're going to assume that it is a 3 play point play, and even, I think, further down into the play points, there's some probably good combinations you can play in the late game because it's only 3 and it provides that ward. We know how valuable that can be in certain matchups. So I don't know. What do you think, Mofu?
I really don't know if I have that much to add this time, actually. It's a very simple card. This immediate burst of value you get out of a very nice little stat line. Another thing I just really wanted to add is the same thing I said about the last one. This is one of the artifacts that you have to roll out of the 4 of all the cards that give you like 2 random artifacts from all 4 of them. There's no card revealed thus far anyway that just says put mystic artifacts into your deck. So it might be a little bit hard to find this one, but I think it's reasonable because the previous one and this one are probably the strongest 2 that you can get.
Give a lot of value for each. Cool. Let's move on. So 2 of them we give the thumbs up for, and let's see what the next ones are. Here we have Ancient Artifact. I like this one because it's like it starts out with just 1 diamond, and then like its evolved forms, like all its friends came over to hang out, and they're all you see. It's like it's representing diversity. You've got the red one, you've got the orange one, you've got the turquoise one. I don't know what's up with the one on the bottom though. That one looks like it's where
did it come from?
Yeah, it's crazy. Ancient Artifact seems pretty simple. A 1 play point rush. I think that's incredible. A 1 play point 3/1 stat line in rush, like that removal to me is quite insane. You can think of it. I guess it can't get past ward, so it's not quite as targeted. But pushing past like doing 3 damage and maybe on evolve 5. I don't know if you would ever really do that, but That just seems like such an easy way, like 1 play point for 3 damage. That's like super good to me. I don't know.
The way I see this card, the best direct comparison that I've got, it's created randomly again. It's kind of like a consolation prize. Like if you miss the first 2 and get this one, whatever. It's a Levi Fireball that can't hit face, right? It's just 1 play point, 3 damage on a follower. Hitting face with it would be really good, but 1 play point for Storm would be way too good. It's obviously not one of the best ones, but it's not terrible. It's just 1 play point, you know. And when you have Deus Ex on the board, if you combine with that, when you play artifacts, it costs 0. So
that's right.
It's not the worst, but the way I see it is basically if I miss the first 2 good ones, okay, whatever. I got a fireball, I can throw it a follower.
What do you think, Mofu?
I like it a lot because this is the first one that we've seen that you can actually sort of set up. I mean, it's kind of weird because you put so many cards that probably generate artifacts into your deck. It's likely that when you're searching one, there is still that little variance of it. But there's a silver card called Icarus, a 2-cost 2/2 in the same thing, where she has a fanfare that only puts this card into your deck. And then when you evolve her, she'll pull out a random one. So if you haven't gotten any artifacts into your deck yet, you can guarantee on a body of like a 2/2 that costs 2, evolves into a 4/4, that you can then pull in a 1 cost 3 damage. It is actually really, really close to how Levi works. But that is the one major difference I wanted to point out about this artifact. It's kind of cool that that happens, but I mean, it seems useful to me. The only slight difference I would say to like Crimson Sorcery is this does leave a body behind, kind of. Like your opponent will still have to kill this to get rid of the threat of it hitting face if you just throw it out because you don't need it to hit anything, which is kind of cool.
That's true.
But,
yeah,
good card. Seems useful.
Yeah, to me, 1 play point and pretty much anything 1 play point that has an additional effect or some kind of stat value that's better than just 1/1 seems to me like it's just pressure, right? The value is there just in its efficiency. All right, so we have Analyzing Artifact. This thing looks, is that a water globe? They're so weird and exotic. I actually like that about the artifacts. All their art is like super.
they're all globes, Rainy.
They're globes, objects. They're cool.
I actually
like
recognize this one.
Oh?
I think in Rage of Bahamut, this is like a card that you pull that's not like a thing that you can fight with, but like you craft other things using this as one of the ingredients, I think.
Nice.
I saw it once on like the art galleries and was a bit confused, but yeah, I think it's one of those crafting items back in that other game.
And now it's beating your face. Instead of crafting stuff, it's just trying to hit you. Analyzing Artifact is a 1 play point 2/1, evolves for full stats, and its last words is draw a card. Seems pretty good to me. I think I'd be happy with this. I wouldn't be overjoyed, but it's still pretty good. What do you think, Envy?
I think it's the 4th worst artifact you can get, but even at that point, 1 play point 2/1 cycle itself is not terrible. I kind of wish the stats were reversed just because I like trading with 1/1s and living, but yeah, with it being the worst artifact you can get of the 4, I think it's still fairly good. It's obviously not, it's definitely not, you know, 1 play point for 3 damage, and it's not 3 play points with ward draw a card, but it's not literally useless, which is good. I'm glad that it's not useless.
Mm-hmm. And of course, as you mentioned with Deus Ex Machina, which I imagine we'll get to, I'm not sure. That was one of the first legendaries revealed, I believe.
I imagine because of Machina, it's not fanfare draw a card and last words draw a card.
Yep.
Because if you had Machina out, you could just chain these over
and deck yourself out. That's exactly what I would do.
That's the point. Well, yeah, killing yourself is the point.
All right, Analyzing Artifact. There you go. Pretty simple, pretty clean. So I believe all of these are the ones that are kind of random draw, or random tutoring, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think Magisteel Lion puts 2 of these specifically into your deck, but he doesn't have that like search on his evolve, so you can't like forcibly grab one of these out, but you can kind of make other searches get them.
Oh, look at this guy. Is this a Forestcraft card? Please?
Why is he so perfect?
How does it feel for your favorite faction to get power crept out of the game, Rainy? These are fairies with brush.
Hey, you know, I have no particular allegiances to particular crafts.
Fairies stick around. These guys don't stick around. They're just like immediate impact or don't do anything. They're interesting though.
So let's take an overview here. The puppet 0 play point 1/1 evolves to 3/3, and it says it has rush, and at the end of your opponent's turn, you destroy this follower. So basically, they won't hit face unless you have some other thing that gives it the ability to storm. What do you think, Mofu?
Okay, Rainy, how many sentences do I have?
You have... I'm going to give you 5, and you're going to have to negotiate for more if you need more.
Okay, 5.
That's funny.
I think puppets are a really cool mechanic.
What?
They... They are useful tokens which have immediate board impact, many generators, and they can be buffed in hand using other cards in the class.
2. Good, good.
This leads to a lot of heavy decision making on whether you hold them in your hand to deal with certain, or you play them immediately to deal with certain threats, or hold them in your hand with the intent of buffing them later.
3. Wait,
It'll create a very interesting gameplay dynamic where you want to figure out how much time you spend generating puppets and on what turns you want to commit them because you really need them to defend you against certain threats.
4. Is there a concluding sentence that you have?
The art is really cool. He looks kind of like a duck.
That's exactly right. It's the stupid yellow thing. He looks like a duck.
It totally looks like a beak.
I think that's a really good point. I think you make a really good point about it, kind of saving those resources and then spending them when you most need them. And, you know, for example, just imagining a current scenario where, obviously this is just plug and play, and I don't know if it's super relevant, but, you know, you imagine before a turn where Shadow wants to flood the board into a Nectar, right? Then now you have the power to remove and still maintain play points to make a significant play to push the ball forward. Because I think a lot of the issues with some of the removals that have been looked as not as effective in this game are ones that are so expensive that then you gain nothing on board anyways. You know, and that's, I think, traditionally how people fall behind against Shadow. They spend all their time removing all these tokens and then skeletons and stuff like that, but they never develop their own win condition in that turn, which makes them fall behind. So, interesting. What did you guys think about those collections of cards that we just talked about? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling like we want to vomit? We're feeling good. Envy's feeling good. Both are feeling good. Cool. I like them too. I think they're a great set of cards, and it's really giving us some flavor into what Protocraft is. But we'll take a break from that for a little and do our show match. So, what it's going to be, we have this EU versus NA thing. The format of the show match is these players have chosen 7 different crafts. Now, each of the crafts is one deck, and they've decided to pick 6 out of those 7. So, what ended up happening here is that Bloodcraft for both of the teams was removed. I think Envy is going to be pretty happy about that.
Oh, yeah.
So each of the players holds one of these crafts' identities. So we've got representatives for each of these crafts on both teams. Right? And I believe our first match, and we don't really know what the order of the matches were. We just had the players pick whatever they wanted. And I think they've decided to have Essia versus Fantasy step up to the plate first. No clue what craft they're playing, but we're going to get the game started as soon as we can. And what we're going to do is play out each of these 6 matches. It's a 6v6. And then see what the scoreline is at the end. So we've got on Team Europe, it's going to be Essia, Meow, Kionis, Sheepy, Fatina, and Akamaru Red. That's the EU team list. And then for North America, it's going to be Fatina, Underwear, Gengar, Eplicus, Vetu, and Bottles. So he's making his way back. He's a chosen one, so to speak. Oh, here we go. So we've got Fantasy versus Essia, and it looks like the matchups we've got off. Of course, Fantasy is playing Sword against Essia's Forest.
Of course, Rainy. Of course.
All right, guys, take it away.
Oh boy,
Sword.
Mofu, look at these decks. Oh my gosh.
Are these new cards? Is that a new class? What is Swordcraft?
Yeah, this is an early reveal. These are all cards in Chronogenesis. We're playing with them early. Also, just to mention real quick, this is like a more fun format. Like, it's not like that. They're not playing like meme decks, but they're not playing like, you know, hyper competitive. They're playing every faction and not playing hyper competitive tournament decks. So that's why we're seeing, you know, slightly off the beaten path cards.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I saw this exact fantasy deck actually brought at least one of these days this season. Something like this. It had Otohime and Walfrid and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure, was that us casting that game and it actually took the game that like it won that round?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, have you ever played? Have you tried playing the Otohime Walford combo?
I stopped playing Otohime back when I failed to make it work with Gabriel, but maybe Gawain in some strange combination. Don't laugh at me.
Man, if only one body would stick, I could Gabriel.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it works with. It works kind of okay with Gawain if you lower Otohime to 5. You don't really care about that, but lowering Walford to 7 so you can go Otohime into Walford the turn after it's fairly okay. It works against certain things.
Yeah. The only thing that I remember is sort of knocked Otohime back is just it feels like it's so much harder to. That was a pretty good shot from that Mei. But it's so much harder to like play Otohime and keep everything. It's like they printed so many clears for it. You don't get that dream Sage Commander anymore, and Walford just seems even harder to get off. But you know, sometimes your opponent's just playing whatever. You have that flexibility to just do whatever.
Right. It's really hard to get that off, actually. I think it was like the printing of Breath of Salamander, and then because Will of the Forest used to not be good enough sometimes. It wasn't enough, but with the addition of like even Cassiopeia now, you can get a Will of the Forest combo and then also evolve over the last body that's alive. Otohime is just she's very easy to get rid of.
All I gotta do is slam that copy of Goblin Slayer Lucius that you put in every deck to answer her.
I don't think that actually clears the 1/2s. I don't.
It does. He does 2 damage to 1 cost because he thinks that her little bodyguards are actually goblins.
Are they 1 or are they 2?
They're 1.
Are they 1?
I'm
okay,
100%
it's been a while. I
this,
haven't played Otohime in a while.
Yeah, the one time I played an Otohime and it got cleared by Goblin Slayer Lucius was when I realized.
It's been a while since they've been kaleidoscoping glowed back into my hand, and I've had to replay them.
Right. Oh, so this is Homecoming? I'm assuming there's a wolf here. I mean, I don't think we have access to the lists here at all.
We actually saw the Homecoming in the Mulligan. He got rid of it.
Oh, right.
But there were a few Japanese lists. I don't want to say too many because I don't want to spread this out as like a thing that's good or something. But there were a few playing Homecoming in Roach. You play Roach to poke and you bounce it with Homecoming. But Wolf would make the most sense, actually.
Mm-hmm. It seems like a pretty tough actual matchup to be going into playing Roach when it's like Captain Walfred, unlike Sage Commander, just manages to give the entire board ward, as well as running the Mars White Paladin combo in this, but maybe like Homecoming is what you'd need against this. So I see it coming in here with that snipe.
Homecoming's actually, it's actually a great tech when the whole board gets buffed by Walford, or just like a massive Otohime you can't get rid of. You just put it back in their hand. And it would actually destroy most of the followers because you can't put 5 things in your hand if your hand has 7 cards in it.
Was that not the most nostalgic feeling watching that go down? It's just that on-curve Otohime.
I guard Otohime.
I mean, it looks just as obnoxious as I remember. Well, never mind. He drew Cassiopeia as I'm staring upwards.
He actually can kill all of it. He can kill all of it without even trying. Otohime only puts what is that? 4 times 2 plus 4? That's not nearly enough. You can get rid of that for sure.
Yeah, it's 8 if you evolved one. Well, I guess you'd probably deal damage to whatever was evolved, but like a general range of like 8 defense to get rid of is like... I mean, back in Darkness Evolved, I don't think it was a really trustworthy way to go to try to just build up a hand of 9 cards to be able to clear it with Will of the Forest, because you probably just got Otohime off of the back of a Floral Fencer and an Aurelia, so they're forcing you to already commit your entire hand to answer all of that.
And that was the strength of Midsword back then. Like, it was able to like apply constant pressure like that. That was the whole point of it. But now that removals have caught up, it can't really do that anymore.
Yeah. It kind of is interesting to think about for me, because back then Sword was still really good at being aggressive, but it didn't really have any massive or significant sources of storm. It had like Quick Blader and Novice Trooper early on. Ooh.
Right, yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that Homecoming was insane. You're right, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, you know, that's what happens to Otohime now. We just watch him completely play out the same. Just play them out the same way as you used to, the usual response to Homecoming.
basically. He also gets a free evolve on a Luminous Mage, so it's not that big of a deal. It's the exact same board again, except the mage is now healed. So really,
Just
we
drew
got
another
nowhere.
homecoming, at least.
Yeah.
And this is pretty rough. Fantasy gets his Otohime, it gets mostly cleared, but Sword has so many tools to flood again. It's like, this isn't really kind of an easy matchup for Forest, since in all these expansions they have yet to really get a solid, easy-to-use board clear other than Cassiopeia.
Well, they do have access to Bahamut. He is free. Or
yeah.
not free, but neutral, rather. But
Free?
that was kind of an exercise in like practicality of why Homecoming's just not played anymore. You spend 7 play points, yeah, you wipe the board, but your opponent just spends 8 or 7 again, and then you're in the same exact spot again.
Yeah. Especially if Fantasy were running something that had a bit more storm behind it. It's just you just take that damage every turn and Homecoming tries to get you out of it. UC Gawain. Juicy Gawain. Just giving him this follow-up.
Fantasy's actually getting into a spot where if he floods too hard, if Cassiopeia were here to answer this, he wouldn't have much of a board to Walford with, which would be kind of bad.
Yeah. I mean, all it would take right now would be a Wood of Brambles into Fairy into Mahez to just perfectly answer all the throwaway.
Into Mahez.
Into Mahez.
The card that no one in chat knows what that does. Oh my gosh.
I think Goblin Slayer Lucius would also have cleared that really well.
Ooh. That's
Oh, Mars.
That's actually pretty spicy. Mars into Walford is not bad.
Yep. That would be a 5/6 Walford with the effect. Has an Evo point left over to just slam over the Aaron. That's like, what, half of Essia's remaining health? Just on the back of 2 Luminous Knights and an Otorime's bodyguard.
That would be, yeah, that would be quite the push. It's gonna go for Amelia instead. Ew. Okay. All right.
He's still
okay.
Walfording, though. All right.
What's that?
I'm just going to go on a limb here. I don't think Essia can clear this.
Probably not. I mean, there's actually not much ward on Fantasy's side of the board because most of those cards are commanders. But I don't think he cares, since he is smacking for a solid, solid 11 anyway.
Now, I'm starting to come to the vague and resultant thinking-based conclusion that Walford actually looks pretty insane.
Walford against Forest is actually pretty good. Sword against Forest is actually fairly okay nowadays. It probably won't be once White Paladin rotates, but it's
Fantasy
pretty okay.
super elated when he won that. It was probably, I have to imagine it was a White Wolf Homecoming Roach deck, right?
Yeah.
That would be my assumption. I really think that, okay, Walford, he looks pretty good when your opponent was able to play Gawain to reduce his cost and not have their board removed. To be fair, that board was real sticky. I think especially, and that wasn't even kind of the ideal Mars mid game, right? Because we've seen how Mars can make that mid game real disgusting, especially with the White Paladin. So interesting deck. I think Fantasy's pretty pleased about that. That means Envy, that North America is
They got one last time though. They went 5 and they got 5-1. So if they just don't get another win, then it's the same record again. I believe in you, North America. Keep it going. Keep that flow. All right.
All right. I'm keeping track of their points here. North America 1, EU 0. But I actually didn't. And you can see the progress here. The red denotes a loss and the blue denotes a win. I actually didn't ask you, Mofu. Do you prefer EU or do you prefer NA?
Well, I can't go out the last time I signed off, I'm pretty sure I said something to the effect of EU is like the highest level of Shadowverse play.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm NA, easy NA. No.
Biased casters, Dan's game.
I gotta be on EU's side here if Envy's you're on NA.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm gonna
buddy.
I'm gonna vote for Asia. That's what I'm gonna do.
They're not even here today.
So I know that EU versus NA match was the height of excitement, but we're going to try to follow that up with our first card reveal. That's right. If you guys were paying attention, one of the things that we're doing on the show today is revealing a bunch of cards. And I say a bunch of because this is not the only card that we're revealing. We're going to reveal a Swordcraft card, and this is exclusive.
Finally.
Exclusive to us. There it is. Confront Adversity. Now, I haven't seen any of these. It looks like it's a... Wow, that art is actually awesome. 4 play
That's
points.
my favorite sword art so far.
Is that White
yeah.
Paladin in there? Is that...
No, it's us. It's me and Envy.
Oh, okay. Huh. Wow, you guys are sick. Look at you guys. It says, summon a Shield Guardian and a Knight. Deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. So we have a Swordcraft card that is now actually affecting the wide board. Okay, even if it's just 1 damage. And it's developing some followers on the same turn. Envy, what do you think? Now, does either of you know what a Shield Guardian does?
It's
I think it's
1/1 ward,
thing
right?
the White Paladin gives. It's the
Yeah.
Oh,
point
got it.
1/1.
1/1
Ward?
with the ward. Got it. So you get 2 1/1s, 1 with a ward, right? The Knight is
Right.
1/1 as
No,
well.
well, 1/2. A Knight's a 1/2 actually.
Okay. Cool.
I don't think this card is highly competitive. 4 play points is not the best you want to be paying for a 1/1 and 1 damage. But we'll see. It depends. Getting a ward, it'd be really. This card would have been great back in the day when Bat Blood was really popular. This card would have been amazing. But I don't know. It depends. Maybe Portal is like really good, and like puppets are like super popular. Maybe I'm not calling it. I don't think it's gonna be very good, but we'll see.
Now there is some scenarios, right? For example, against Forest, I know we beat up on it a lot, but we were talking about that whole Wood of Bramble scenario, and Mofu was talking about Necro Elementus and how it also wasn't very popular. But all of a sudden, within the context of like, oh, everybody's playing Tempo Forest now, to avoid that clash effect, it might be really useful to have that 1 damage ping. Also, I think the other thing is much in the same way that Mars has changed the game for the board control game for Swordcraft. It might be nice just to have a wider board in that sense. But I think you're right. It's not something that's immediately like, my God, this is amazing.
Wow.
It's something that we'd have to probably see develop and get researched a little bit. What do you think, Mofu?
I think where the card really stands out is its art and flavor, which is not really the thing that you really want to hear about a card. But with that said, I don't think it is a card that should completely be slept on just because it has its uses. I think compared to cards like Angelic Barrage or things that have dealt 1 damage AoEs in the past, usually you need something very, very useful to the class to really make those cards worth running. Like Star Torrent, I think it is an example of the first time a 1 damage ping to everything has really kind of made it in a class, and that's just because of how useful it is in like a class that just has a ton of countdown amulets on the board. Whereas how can Sword really use this generation of 2/1/1s on the back of hopefully clearing a board full of fairies or bats or something like that? Not bats. We haven't seen any bat generators actually. I mean, it highly depends. I think it's a useful card, but it might not. I mean, if it is run in a competitive deck, it's not going to be the reason that deck is competitive. But I think it's a cool tool that people will have some fun exploring.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to think about that a little more, and maybe as more cards are revealed, we can see more immediately obvious interaction with it. But we'll see. We have a interview with Fantasy coming up, a World Grand Prix invitee. Fantasy is somebody that we've talked to a little bit. Fantasy, how are you doing?
So far, so good today.
So far, so good.
I mean,
you just destroyed Ezia with your Swordcraft deck. How did you get into what about Swordcraft makes you like that class so much?
I feel Swordcraft. I just played it because I played it before, and no other than that.
I see.
Don't think...
I see. Hey, we just revealed Confront Adversity, a new card that's coming. What are your thoughts? Are there anything that is immediately popping out to you about that card? How do you like it?
I only use it if the Temple Forest or like the overboard is all the place, but usually that card is not that good, I think.
All right. Well, I think that's the general consensus here, so that makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about the World Grand Prix. Now, you're about to go to Japan. Have you ever been to Japan? I don't remember if I asked you this question before. Have you gone to Japan before?
Not yet.
Not yet? Are you excited? We're about to head. It's next week. It's so soon.
Yeah.
Less than next week. So
Yes.
how...
I prefer the
You prepared a lot. Do you feel good about it? Are you nervous? Are you anxious?
No, I feel comfortable, but other than pick two, like I have to practice that.
Yes, I know a lot of players are kind of trying to get their take two skills up there. What is one of the things that you're looking forward to? Is there anybody that you want to meet there, or do you just want to see the rage stuff? Are you a big fan of just like side game stuff in general? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing there?
Wait, I don't know about the player well, other than like EUNA and some Korean, but I heard Japanese are consistent player. They're good, or and I think I should get over them hard.
Are you looking to play aggressive? I know a lot of us talk about how we think that you're very good at playing aggressive lists and taking board control and swinging face. How would you describe your strengths, and do you think that that's something that you're going to bring to the World Grand Prix, or are you planning on playing a slower game, a longer game, maybe control-oriented gameplay? What do you think?
It is hard to talk what I bring, but I'm still making the lineups for the best lineup for winning Swiss Lounge, because Swiss Lounge is different than NG.
Yes. Yes. There's going to be a lot of different formats to prepare. Hey, I have a question for you, Fantasy. Now, you look like you're a very happy kind of guy. You're always dancing. What is your relationship with the clothes hanger?
Because I just grab what I have like beside me, and that's all.
Where's the clothes hanger now? Did you throw it away? Is it gone? Did you guys break up? What happened?
Wait, it is still on my closet.
Oh, okay, okay. It's just hanging out there. Cool. I'd love to see the clothes hanger again. It was, I think, a very popular a character amongst all of us here on the desk. But I can't wait to meet you in person. Can't wait to see you in Japan and show me some of your dance moves when we get there. Any shouts that you want to throw out there before we close out?
Well, you guys can expect I can win. I can at least get top 8. Just cheer me a lot.
Absolutely. All right, so Fantasy is looking to get top 8 at least, and maybe even take the whole tournament. I would love to see that. Thank you so much, Fantasy, for your words. Very good to get some of your thoughts. And I'm excited for that. Fantasy is preparing a lot. He's really going for North America, and it seems like he's really kind of taking a hard look at the tournament format and figuring out what he wants to do there. So really great. Also, good to know that the clothes hanger is still around and still there. I haven't seen it in a while. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that. Swordcraft doesn't seem to be a big thing for him, but let's move on here and talk about more of the cards. It looks like we're going to go through more of the Portalcraft cards now, and I actually don't really know what we're going to be looking at here. I've tried to keep everything as secret to me. I don't know how much you guys have looked into it. I think Mofu a little bit, but Envy hasn't either.
I've written essays on this stuff already.
You've written essays on this stuff?
I'm already a college professor on Portalcraft.
Yeah, and Envy's supposed to be a Portalcraft main, right?
I'm going to become a Portalcraft main within 1 day. I'm going to master it in 1 day. Don't worry. It'll be easy.
Are you going to utilize the research that Mofu has done?
Yeah.
Big brain, Portalcraft main.
Big brain, Portalcraft main.
Okay, that was very, very lame. Okay, let's jump into this card discussion here. Looks like we're going to watch or get information on the Imperial Swordsman, 8 play point 6/6. Oh, what happened there? Now we're looking at the vengeful Puppeteer.
He evolved into a different card.
Wow. Okay, well, there we go. Okay, hey, you're back. This guy's way cooler. Look at that color on him. Man, we've got the blue themes versus the red themes. Insane. He's an 8 play point 6/6 gold card. And it says, at the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. If resonance is active for you, deal 4 damage instead. Oh my god! That's a lot of damage. What do you guys think?
I think for the most part, if Portalcraft cards aren't synergizing with puppets or artifacts, they're probably not very powerful, while the faction doesn't have many options. And 8 play points for a 2 conversion or even a 4 conversion is possibly bad Cursed Soldier. So, or just a bad, it's actually a really bad Earthshock Ogre. Actually, it's a terrible Earthshock Ogre. That I just realized that. This is actually...
What do you think?
I think the card that I would most compare this one to is probably Fangblade Slayer from Swordcraft. Only it has this weakness of not really having rush on it on a pretty late turn. And whereas cards that don't have very much board impact this late into the game tend to find a lot of difficulty in really seeing play. But 4 is a decent amount of damage, and it does kind of have some interesting gameplay behind it because you probably won't get to draw cards on the same turn where you're playing an 8-cost card, so you kind of need to set up Resonance in advance and know when you're going to drop it. It highly depends on how much burst we end up seeing this class get, because on the back of things like that Storm artifact we saw, maybe this is kept in line with other cards that deal damage like this because they're afraid, maybe this alongside all of that is going to be too much damage in the end. Whether this will actually see play in Constructed, as I mentioned before, maybe not enough impact to, but I think in Take 2 and other formats, we might see this really start to shine.
I think traditionally, one of the things when we look at cards like this, 8 play points, I mean, one of the things that we can talk about is it has a high defense value, right? Higher, but still there's the current pace of the game, there's a lot of removal, and so oftentimes it doesn't kind of get to that point. Also, 8 play points, depending on what kind of matchup you're playing into, you probably don't have an evolution orb left at that time, so you're not going to as commonly get that rush effect from Evolve. Unable to impact the board makes it really hard to justify, I think. Of course, maybe in an aggro deck, just as a game ender, you just throw it down and it just goes straight face, and maybe you're fine with that. But I think there are probably better options. I don't know how many spell damage options are available to Portalcraft that kind of just burn. But interesting to think about. I like the card art. I think he's sick. Look at that.
Yeah, there's usually good art in Shadowverse. It usually has good art on everything, right?
What are those monsters he's fighting?
They look like the same monsters from Confront Adversity, kinda.
He's fighting like Mega Roaches.
Oh gosh, that is Rhinoceroach, isn't it?
He's Reddit's savior.
He's Reddit's savior. He's a warrior that will kill all the roaches. That's why they're rotating out, because the Imperial Swordsman is here. All right, let's take a look at the next card here. I think that was a pretty good one to talk about. Vengeful Puppeteer Noah. I'm gonna assume that this guy has to do with puppets. He's a Portalcraft Silver, 9 play point, 3/6. Evolves into a 5/8, and it says Storm. And it says Fanfare, put a puppet into your hand, give +1/+0 in Storm to all puppets in your hand. Mofu, it's your dream dude. It's your new dude.
It's him. His hair is a little weird. He could use a comb, but funnily enough, I think.
Yeah.
No, the disheveled look is part of the appeal, Mofu. Haven't you?
Yeah.
I
think where the art really shines on this guy is not the guy himself, but like that backdrop behind him. Like, where is he?
Yeah.
What is the lore behind any of these cards?
Yeah.
So interested in that. But I think that this is probably going to be, if no other card in the entire puppet archetype really starts to shine, it'll probably be Noah. Because he has the most immediate impact both on his own body and on what he does to puppets. Whereas puppets are, as we saw before, they banish themselves during the start of your next turn. You need to get that impact with them. And Noah allows you to convert them into some kind of a finisher. It's just, he requires setup. So... Okay, am I on a sentence limit, actually? Almost done. I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you are.
The question Noah asks to the person playing this sort of puppet archetype is, how many puppets can you save for him throughout the course of a game? Because you're going to be needing to use them to answer threats on board constantly. But if you manage to hold a lot, then some combination of just buffing them with Noah, maybe survive an extra turn, give them more attack with Toy Soldier, another card that buffs them attack-wise, it could lead to being a lot of damage, but where you really end up getting the last bits of that burst is a question I'm starting to see develop in the class.
Envy, what do you think?
Well, puppets are 0 play points. So on 9, I can see 5 +2 +2 +2 +2. And that's a good card. I'm sorry. That's if you save 4 puppets, they're probably dead. It's very similar to Fairy Driver, but you don't have to... I don't know. Fairy Driver doesn't have Storm himself. This guy can also evolve into 5, so he's kind of bad for 9 play points, but I can understand why he's 9 play points. I think he's purposefully 9 play points because they're kind of putting in that effect of him being able to attack for 5 himself, and they're basically making him a Fairy Driver for Portalcraft. So they have some way of ending the game, right? I think that Noah is a great win condition for Portalcraft. If, like Mofu said, nothing ends up working, he's like a safety valve. It's like, all right, whatever, just play Noah and throw puppets at them, and hopefully you can win. That's how they're going to be able to play them if nothing else works. So,
it's also interesting to consider that it gives your puppets in your hand Storm, and that effect, I'm assuming, doesn't disappear once
you can actually
Puppeteer
save that,
Noah.
yeah.
So you can actually, if your emergency scenario was, oh, I need to play Puppeteer Noah to save myself, but I don't want to throw away the rest of my Storm package just yet, you can have the option to store that damage and have that be available. I also wonder if this is something where, like, you play a Puppeteer Noah, then play your Puppeteer or puppets, and then you play another Puppeteer Noah. If you start getting +2, +0, and then your puppets start going crazy, I want to see that as a meme win. Please, 3 Puppeteer Noahs. Find out.
Loki into Puppeteer Noah. I found it. I found how to use Loki.
Nice. I like this. I like how we're getting into this territory of stuff that will probably never work.
Yeah.
Let's move on here. Let's move on here. Black Iron Soldier is going to be a 6 play point 5/6 and evolves to 7/8. It says, Fanfare, put a random artifact card from your deck into your hand. So this is one example of one of the cards that allows you to draw those artifacts that you create, because I believe most of the artifact generators say put it into your deck rather into your hand, correct?
They do, yeah.
So, I think it's a pretty simple card. It's a bronze card here. Initial thoughts, MV?
I think it's a very adorable card. I think it's I want to say this card's basic, actually, for Portalcraft. It may not be, but I feel like it's trying to do more than players. It's trying to do less than players expect it to, right? They think like a 6 play point 5/6. Yeah, I'm gonna put an artifact from my deck into my hand, and then they don't realize their opponent's gonna follow up with like Thane or something, right? Like this card doesn't really do enough to see hyper competitive play, but it's cute. It definitely works, right? Like it's a card that's good for the faction to have access to, but I don't think it's that strong.
Mofu, thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's really just comes down to that. Envy mentioned that this is probably basic. I think this is a card that is an educational tool to kind of show people how artifacts work. But also, I think where we want to analyze this card the most is probably not constructed. It's a bit too slow, and these large bodies tend not to matter too much in constructed. But there are some cards that are designed for Take 2 to just give very important effects to like low rarities or things that are very accessible. So when you're playing Take 2, you don't have to worry too much about finding an artifact and having a massive threat at the same time. I think the card will be just fine there. It's like if you ever have trouble finding cards that will get the artifacts that you drafted to generate out of your deck, then cards like this just help you do it in a way that's simple and easy to find. So mostly that teaches the class. Perhaps not a mainstay or super big staple of it, just one of those sort of basic cards.
My thoughts on the card: 6 sword. Is that a metallic wing? Ripped jeans. That obviously means that you got high fashion sense. So to me, the card is awesome. I think this card is great.
Cool. Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
Wait, she has like a katana that has awesome. Like a compass coming out of it.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I want to look at that weapon in more detail. All right, let's move on here. Mana Pistol Burke. Wow, she looks pretty cool. 5 play point 5/4. Evolves into 7/6, and it says Fanfare, if Resonance is active for you, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. And so this sounds pretty similar to that discussion we had about kind of 1 damage pings across the board just in general.
Right.
What do you think, Envy?
I think what Mofu just mentioned, actually. Some cards are made for Take 2, and they're better for Take 2. This card is insane in Take 2. The fact that it's a 5 play point 5/4, it's almost 100% Villain Pass. It evolves for 2/2, and it gets the 7/6 stat line. Resonance is very... You don't have to play around it in Take 2. You don't have to actually build your deck to say, I'm going to activate Resonance every turn and be super cool. You can just kind of play it every other turn, right? Like, it's just inconsequentially active. And to have that effect every other turn, that ability to do this every other turn in Take 2 would be absolutely bonkers. And this card actually might carry them pretty far in that regard. As far as Constricted goes, I don't know. I don't think it's that great again, but it's a good card for that.
You know what? I started my way down this math on the Shadowverse Open. Okay, we should make this a segment. Okay, I'm sorry for the viewers, but I'm going to spend the next 2 to maybe 3 minutes doing this math here. Okay, so if you're going first, you mulligan 3, you draw 1, right? So on turn 1,
right.
That's 4 cards out of your deck, so you're at 36, and resonance is odd numbers, I believe.
Even numbers.
Even numbers. So your resonance on 1 through 5. So if you're going first on your evolve turn, you'll have resonance.
Right.
If you're going second, you 3 and then draw 2. So you're
on your 5th card going first, you have 32 cards left in your deck. So if you're going first, this is active on curve. If you're going second, you start with 5 cards in hand, you draw 1.
You draw 2 on the first turn.
The 5th card is your first turn, and then 1, 2, 3, 4.
If you don't mess with
what
it,
am I doing?
If you don't do anything, if you just don't mess with it, it's opposite.
So turn
so
1
if you're going first, the card
second.
is playable. But then you ask yourself, if I'm going first, do I want to play a 5.54 that does 1 damage to followers?
But it is interesting to think about just overall kind of some of these resonance cards. For example, if there's a 3 play point card that has resonance, and you're like, oh, if I'm going first, I can just 1, 2, 3 and not have any kind of card draw or insert artifact into deck kind of things, and I'll be on resonance. And if you're going second, your turn 1 is going to have 35 cards. So your turn 2 is going to have 34, so you're going to be on resonance on turn 2. Keep that in mind, my friends.
Big brain. Portalcraft main.
Big brain portal mains.
We're already on our way going to Portalcraft mainland. So we're heading upwards there. All right, let's. So those were some of the new cards that we were going to review. Let's get back into EU versus NA. We have our next match coming up, which is going to be Meow versus Underwear. Now North America is in the lead. 1 win under their belt. 1 win under their belt. And in order to have a good scoreline, they need to win at least 4, right? Because it's 6v6.
Yeah. So
the scoreline will become 4-2. But if they only win 3, then things will end in the most fantastic fashion, where both players are going to be tied 3-3, and that outcome would be. What are you wearing on your head?
He's a meow.
Time to shine, Daria.
It all makes sense now. Can't believe I didn't make that connection. All right, take it away, guys.
Oh boy, Abomination.
Wait, this is that deck, isn't it? This is that like PTP.
these are both that deck. Yeah. It's PTP Dirt Rune versus Dragon Newt OTK Dragon.
Hey there.
This is
Who wins this? I'm
actually fairly positive Dragon Newt OTK wins this completely. Any deck that has the potential to just outright kill you before you get 30 shadows is going to beat you as PTP, and PTP is fairly slow these days.
Yeah. I feel like Dirt PTP isn't too slow by comparison to Forest. It usually, oh, never mind. He drew 2 of them. That's usually the sign that it's just not going to go well from that point onward.
It's not. Also, if you saw Underwear cheer, he threw his hands up in the air because he drew the God curve. He's basically at 10 play points already, starting next turn or turn after next turn.
Yeah, I was about to be like, wait, Dragon Newt OTK has a God curve, and then it hit me.
Yeah.
Oof.
It definitely does. Every Dragon deck kind of has a God curve. I mean, any Dragon deck is going to rely on ramping to 10, whether it tries to be competitive with that 10 or tries to meme with that 10. It's going to try and get the 10 as fast as possible. So it's going to have a God curve.
Yeah. Speaking of ramp, do you have a particular opinion on that card that they revealed that kind of replaces Ayla here? I think she got reduced into a 2-cost 2/2, and the ramp is now on an evolve effect. Doesn't lose stats for it.
I think the card is super cool, very comparable to Magic Owl, if anybody's wondering if it's going to be playable or not. It'll basically be essential, and I like the card a lot. The current Ayala is very lazy as far as the player who plays it. You kind of put it down, and it's like, okay, when this finally dies, I'm going to get a play porn orb. You can't stop me unless you banish it. But let's be for real here. No one's going to banish this thing. So it's it's more of a commitment, which I do appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a python?
Pretty...
Oh my gosh. That's okay.
I thought he was going to go face with that for sure, because that reduces the amount of how much you have to develop your hand to get all the Dragon Newts, but Actually, just doesn't want to take any damage in the meanwhile. But I mean, the most unfortunate thing that's happening to Meow here, and I, as a person who's tried to make this deck work every single expansion feel, is sometimes you just don't draw any card draw, which makes it even more difficult to make this deck really work, especially when you're including stuff like Abomination Awakened to kind of fill out the package.
I personally love PTP decks, but if you don't play like Force PTP, then you're usually stuck in this situation where you're just like, man, I wish I could draw cards, but I can't.
Yeah. Where I think PTP tends to be like the most interesting, or the most interesting stuff that comes out of PTP as an archetype is usually cards that create like tokens or things that fill up your hand from nowhere. I mean, either fairies, because Forest just does that in its spare time, or things like Dwarf Alchemists, so you can discard like Earth Sigils and stuff. But yep, not finding any of it. Meow has to just kind of ditch it for a face strategy here.
I think that was kind of what Underwear's plan was trading last turn too. I think he was afraid of Meow evolving this Abomination and just smacking him in the face 3 times with it, because that's a lot of damage. I don't think he wanted that to happen.
So how does he even get back? Is that am I seeing this right? Is that Python?
Oh yeah, that's a Python.
Wait. Okay, what does Python do in Dragon Ute OTK? Doesn't
I actually don't think it does anything. I think it anti-synergizes with the deck, but
does that
whatever.
kill your combo?
Yeah.
All right, maybe he'll show us. I mean, it's animated, and I have, for one thing, I've never seen the card played, and for another thing, I've never seen it animated. So
I think that's why it's in the deck, because he opened an animated Python and just kind of wanted to, you know what, forget about it. I don't care if I'm going to play the card. I want to hold it in my hand.
Yeah, educational purposes. It's to impress everybody because no one else has actually seen what it looks like before.
Yeah, it's definitely not good for the combo that we thought he was going to go for. It raises a question though, if he's possibly playing something different. If he has 2 win conditions in his deck, I don't know what they could be. Ooh.
For playing Dragon Ute OTK, you put in a card that only lets you have, what, like 7+ cost cards in your deck afterwards? So maybe he's like, if I get frustrated with this strategy, I'm just gonna throw Genesis Dragon's face.
Maybe. Okay, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I can get behind that. Okay. I mean, you know, as a Genesis Dragon lover, I can get behind that.
As a Genesis
I love that card.
Dragon main.
Yeah. Hopefully, as the game goes on, we're given more insight into into what that Python's supposed to be doing, but it's probably not doing it.
I mean, right now, I think Meow is actually just straight up on the train to winning with hitting Underwear 4 times with Abomination Awakened.
Who could have guessed the 6/6 hitting face every turn is pretty good? you can't get hit by that too many times.
Well, Underwear does have an answer. You have to kind of shout the card name as you play and just use a Vowed Strike here if he wants to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what other option does he really have is just evolving stuff? Well, he could evolve a Goblin Mage into it, get his last Dragon Ute, but then he'll be on 9 play point. No, Ayla dies, so he can set that up pretty well.
He does also have Birth of Salamander, so he can actually just keep all that alive as well. Ooh.
7 Dragon Craft cards. Very nice. You know, honestly, I forgot Avowed Strike even did anything without its enhance effect. I've like never seen it used without it.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid removal spell. It works on quite a few cards.
All right. Well, now going in for this burn rune strategy, I believe, but unfortunately, as we see, Underwear has assembled all pieces necessary for the Spirit Bomb that he's just channeling.
And just to give some math out there, Dragon Newt Charlottes, if he altered fates with them right now, I'm pretty
Dragon
sure.
Newt Charlottes.
Yeah, if this Ayla attacks one more time, it's just lethal. So.
I want to see the Python though. Like what? That's actually just completely new to me. So. I didn't even know you could run other finishers in this list. It gets rid of Forte, right?
What, Python?
Yeah.
Is it Python's?
I need to look
got a
this up.
pretty
I can't
big. It's
not
like
know
8
what
or
a card
less,
does.
isn't it? It's something huge, I think.
Yeah. Okay, it's all things that cost 7 or less, so you have a deck
7.
of only 8 plus remaining.
Close
Yeah,
enough.
it's probably Genesis Dragons.
Oh,
I don't think we're gonna get
Poor
to see it,
Meow.
because here it comes.
Yeah.
Alright, what I like is how it like throws all of them like in sequence. It's not just one big slam of 16, but just like that. I predicted it. Fortunately, Meow didn't really get the hand he probably wanted with this kind of list.
Dragon U OTK seems pretty good. It seems pretty good. I think, you know, I'm confused why nobody has run that in tournament yet.
Are you?
Didn't Kionis? Kionis
Actually,
technically
it did
ran,
happen
didn't he?
once in Season 1. I believe it was Lest. That,
Yeah, it was.
that
Oh.
ran away with the... Lest is, I think, still the only one in North America, at least in the Shadowverse Open, to win with Dragon U OTK and also have a killing blow with Aldos. So,
Ah,
that's...
it's all coming back to me
Which
now.
is still to this day remembered. Like it's Aldous is not even a bad card, by the way, but just
That was back before he had a name, in fact.
Yeah, he was just Imperial Dragoon. Yep. All right. Well, hey, that's 2 on the board for North America. Envy, you're a god. You are on it today.
only 2.
Feels bad.
I'm
man.
just I'm gonna stay Sundeer for as long as possible. The second they get to 4, they're back in my good graces again. Until they get to 4, you better win. NA.
Oh god, I'm scared. Hey, let's not be as scared of Envy right now and take a look at yet another card. We're going to reveal a Forest Craft card here. Weld Philosopher. He's 4
Look at
play
that evolve
point,
art. Oh my
3/3. He is, what is he? Just making friends with a bear? Is that what he's
His
doing?
bear? I didn't. What? This is my first time seeing this. I didn't know he had a bear.
Yeah. Looks like you did.
This is the best card ever now.
Oh man.
The difference between the regular art and the evolve art is actually pretty cool because he like I don't know what he's doing in the first one, but he transforms so much in the second one. he like
gains
grows
horns?
horns, I think. Yeah, I don't know. How does he get
He put more clothes on.
Put more clothes on.
Yeah.
Hey, so all those, yeah, that's actually great. And he also moves deeper into nature, and he gains a bear friend. He says fanfare. Put another allied follower +1/+0, or give another allied follower +1/+0. Put 2 fairies into your hand. Oh, hey, that sounds like that other guy, that Verdant
Stewart.
Stewart. Yeah. I mean,
nothing like
just in terms of the put 2 fairies in your hand. Right?
yeah, I guess maybe sure.
I just, you know,
A lot like Fairy Circle in that sense. Yeah, you're right.
I remember the Verdant Stewart because I was always like, man, this guy is really expensive. Give another allied follower +1/+0 and put 2 fairies in your hand for 4 play points on a 3/3. What are your thoughts, Emmy?
Definitely more playable than the last sword card we saw. It's God tier and take 2. As far as constructed goes, I don't know if Aggro Force would want to play this. I think it's a little bit too slow. They'd want to go Fairy Elf Song on 4 instead of this guy, I think. It's just more buffs wide. But it's you never know. With rotation happening, it might be playable, maybe.
That +1/+0 does make me imagine that there might be some trades that would be a little too far for fairies to reach. That is now possible with them, so maybe.
Right.
But what do you think, Mofu?
What I'm thinking of is usually when I see cards that give just this little boost to attack. Like, what if I've learned anything from Angelic Knight, it's that the best way to use cards like this is on the back of something that was very obnoxious or hard to remove. So imagine, for example, turn 1 Fairy Circle, turn 2 double Fairy, Magical Fairy Lilac into him. Then you still have a bunch of fairies in hand for a later fairy drive. I don't know if that's better than Ariana Natural Tutor, but I think it is a useful card for sure. He definitely makes up his weight in terms of how much you spend to play him. I do have a question about him though. What is a weld? Is there what is different between a weld and like a forest?
A weld. WEALD. Twitch! Help! Twitch
look it
chat.
up.
I don't
Weld.
know what it is.
WEALD. We'll see. We'll see what the results of
Let's
Google
Google it.
tell us.
Yeah.
Look at all of them Googling. They use Google.
It's it's an area in southeast England between the escarpments of the North and the South Downs.
Oh,
The
it just means
weld
forest.
is how you tell where the
I like
counties
how
of
Mofu
Sussex,
has, like,
Hampshire,
this-
Kent,
Yeah.
and Surrey
Yeah, if you just scroll down on the Wikipedia page, the name Weld is derived from Old English Weld, meaning forest.
Forest
means
philosopher. He's a forest
Yeah.
philosopher. That sounds like me. That's how I play forest. I'm a forest philosopher.
Yeah.
King Elephant is the best. All right, let's move on here. I think we're gonna get a chance to talk to Vetu, and we got to speak to him a little bit earlier. But of course, as a World Grand Prix invitee, we want to get to know these guys just a little bit better and get their feelings on how the World Grand Prix is coming along and how they're feeling about the trip. So Vetu, can you hear me, my friend?
Yep.
You are about to go to Tokyo, Japan. Are you ready? Have you packed? I haven't packed. Have you packed? You haven't packed?
No.
Okay. Hey, we'll have to schedule a time to just like make sure that we do that, because otherwise we're coming with just the clothes on our back, and that's not gonna look good. That's not gonna be good. Are you excited for the trip?
Yep, very excited.
What are you kind of? So obviously, Take-Two is one of the key elements here, I think, of the Swiss format. How are you approaching that Swiss format? Is that something that you have the opportunity to try for, or is it just like you're just gonna try to keep going into tournaments and understand the game a little bit better there? Are you worried about it?
I think that's okay. The Take-Two was a bit random. Like, I wasn't really expecting that. I used to play like a lot of Take-Two. Like in the first month of playing, I wanted to build my collection, so I more or less only played Take-Two, but I haven't touched it for a while, so that'll be interesting. I'm gonna play a lot of Take-Two on the plane.
You know who you can look to for Take-Two help? You should talk to Envy. Envy is a Take-Two master, okay? If you talk about any kind of game format, Take-Two is the one that Envy will talk to you day and night about, so she can give you a lot of help with that. If you need. I don't know if Envy will appreciate that offer, but I'm gonna force her to. so there you go. What do you think of the new cards so far? I haven't been watching the stream, kind of looking at some of the new cards that are being revealed. Any card that sticks out to you?
Not really, other than the fact that all the artifacts seem pretty busted.
Yeah, they seem pretty good, right? I guess their balancing factor is in how you have to actually gain them into your hand. Maybe.
Right.
But they seem really effective. Which one out of those was your favorite?
I don't know. I mean, like, they're all good in certain situations, but like they're all like overstated and they have beneficial effects. It's pretty interesting.
It's efficient is the way that I'll put it.
Right.
What do you is Portcraft something that you're looking to spend a ton of time once the expansion drops playing, or are you looking to investigate a different craft? What is your favorite craft actually?
I don't think I really have like a favorite craft, but I'm planning to look into Portcraft when it comes out. Yeah, that one's gonna be interesting. There's like the puppet mechanic, and then there's also the artifacts that are really interesting. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. If you were to describe your playstyle here in like, do you like control? Do you like aggro? What do you think is your playstyle that you're looking forward to investigate the most in for the expansion?
Basically anything that's not combo.
Not
Because
combo.
I can't do math. So
I feel you. I can't do math, but I still play combo because I think it's hilarious that I can't do math. But I understand the pain. I understand the pain, Vetu. Going to Japan. Looking forward to meeting you. Good luck on your preparations. Anything that you want to throw out there? Anything you want to say before we close out the interview?
nope. I'm just gonna go there, try my best, see where I get. I don't know.
Awesome. Top 8. So Fantasy said he's going to get top 8. Are you going to go for that as well? Top 16? Oh, well, there's not 32 players, but
Top 24.
top 24. All right, there it is. That's Vetu's goal. Hey, I'm confident that you'll be able to make that. Thanks so much, Vetu, for the interview. Appreciate that a lot. Not combo. I feel like that's a common thread. Math plus combo equals success. Not math plus combo equals tears. And that's why I like it. I like to cry. So that's why I play combo. Cool. That was Vetu. I'm excited. I think he seems a lot less eager or willing to push through than Fantasy was. Fantasy was like, he's going to get that top 8. He's ready to go. Vetu seems like he just wants to kind of experience the whole thing. What would your piece of advice to these players preparing Take-Two, what would that be out of curiosity, Envy?
Obviously, play the format a lot. Help each other, actually. There's a lot of Take-Two players like to they get kind of confused in what's actually good in Take-Two. They get lost in the sauce, if you will. Blood is very good. There's like the opinion of like that sword is good. There's always like all these like opinions or whatever. It's whatever faction you like the most is not going to be available. Except that immediately. The first 3 you see is not going to be the faction you like the most. Draft the strongest and just talk to each other. You know, find like 3 factions you can get good at, and then go in with that. So
Blood, you say, is like really effective.
I personally think that Blood, Sword, and Shadow are really good right now. Sword has access to Barbarossa, and that guy
he owns.
If you get Barbarossa, if you can get him, they've got great bronzes and silvers and a few good golds too. But if you can get Barbarossa, oh my gosh, the guy auto wins for you.
Is there any particular drafting strategy that you go for? Like, how do you evaluate the value of a card? How do you look at effects that can be pretty confusing to kind of put a value on?
Basically, what you're looking for is you'd rather have a 2-play point 2/2 than a Demon Eater, basically. Cards that can just fight for board control and not die, and can actually fight, are pretty good in Take-Two. And then obviously bombs and constructed may not be as great. Like Thane and Eekter are great, obviously, but Aegis is kind of whatever in Take-Two. People like to say the format's all about Bahamut, but it's actually not. It's like you can kill somebody before Bahamut comes down. You gotta play the format. You just gotta play the format. Come on. That's what you gotta do.
Play the format. Come on, play the format.
It's hard to explain. Cool. Yeah.
-NV. Come on, play the format.
Play the format.
That's good advice. It's super interesting here because Take-Two definitely is a different beast. But so we'll see how that goes on. But let's move on with the show. I believe that we're gonna look at some more cards from Portalcraft and talk about those a little bit and have a discussion. Hakrabi is going to be the card that we're looking at. Gold. It's 5 play points for 4/4. Evolves into 6/6. That's actually such. Could you imagine if you had command of one of those artifact things and it would just follow you around and help you out and be your buddy? That's a life that I want right there. It says, unevolved. Fanfare, put a random artifact card from your deck into your hand. Repeat once if Resonance is active for you. So it's kind of, somewhat emblematic of cards like in Swordcraft looking for commanders, I guess. Somewhat similar to that. What do you think, Envy?
Putting artifacts from your deck into your hand is, I feel like so far a very limited effect, right? There are a lot of cards that will put 1 of 4 things and they'll shove a bunch of them in your deck, right? But at that point, you're just hoping you draw them, right? A card like Hakrabi is very interesting because while a 5 play point 4/4 is not immediately impactful, if it's drawing you, I forget the name of it, but the 1 play point 3/3, and you're on 6 play points, or not 3/3, 3/1, and you're on 6 play points, you play it in the same turn, and all of a sudden, this adds a lot of value to Hakrabi's summon. So, I really do think she's much better. She's probably not worth it if you're not in Resonance, but this card could be fairly okay. I think it depends on what artifacts you're putting into your deck. Will actually go pretty far into the value she pulls.
Mofu, what do you think here?
I think Hakrabi is really interesting because this is the first card that kind of combines 2 different parts of the class so far. So you do need to put some pretty good artifacts into your deck, or at least try maybe to control them. I'm sure a lot of people will just put in whatever ones and run the ones that put in all 4. But while you're doing that, you have to keep count of your deck because turn 5 is kind of a hard turn to really prepare yourself for, to be like, okay, am I also going to be in Resonance on turn 5 in addition to putting all these artifacts into my deck? But if you do manage it, I think this is a really strong card. I would compare it to Avant Blader, which hasn't really been around for a long time, but that is because you don't have that much guarantee that the officers you're going to get out of her are going to help you a lot. It also has this weird mix-up of you're going to search commanders and stuff. Nothing like that with Hakrabi. You just, if you have her or around on curve or around turn 6 and 7, you have artifacts in your deck that could impact the board or just give you a lot of value when you play them. You have the time to. Then I think this is one of the cards that's going to be able to stitch together heavy artifact decks.
Actually, some curiosities for me on those on those cards that find random artifacts and put them into your deck, I'm going to assume that they actually reveal what they are, and then they put them into your deck.
Probably to both players, yeah.
As well as I wonder if it's worth thinking about how that interaction of like how they're slotted into the deck works, right? Because it's just, the wording makes it seem like it's just randomly in there. So there's technically a world where you put an artifact down and then you top deck it, right? Just trying to think that through. I wonder if it makes any difference of how it affects the deck. I don't think there's any kind of effect so far in Shadowverse that's like kind of picking up the top of your deck and looking at it and trying to reorder things yet. So I don't know if it affects that as
Praying
much.
Runecraft gets something like that someday, but
yeah.
No scry in this game.
Yeah, that would be. It is interesting to think about how that interacts with like your deck size and what you're about to draw and whatnot. So, yeah, it's interesting. Cool. Let's move on here. A lot of things to think about. Automaton soldier. Jesus. Automaton. Automaton soldier. There it is. Automated. How does that make you guys feel?
I can't wait for like 90% of people to say automation soldier.
Automation soldier. What? It's not that.
Animation soldier.
Animation soldier.
It's so easy.
Okay.
So lazy.
Automaton soldier. 5 play point. 4/3. Evolves into 6/5. So far everything's evolved for full. Fanfare. Put a puppet into your hand. Give +0, +1, and ward to all puppets in your hand. Wow. You could make these puppets pretty beefy. All right. Envy, what do you think?
So sheer value, right? If you play this as a 5 play point 4/3 and play the puppet down, you've got a 4/3 and you've got a 1/2 with rush because there's 0. You can play them next. So he passes the vanilla test on his own right there in 2 bodies, which is fairly great for take 2 as far as constructed goes. He's not like incredible though. I'm not sure. I think the best way to use puppets is going to probably be aggressively. I don't honestly believe that we're going to want to be giving them ward since they die anyway. It's like an ice golem.
Yeah, the ice form. The summon ice form.
Yeah. So it's not like that ward is going to have insane value. More aggressive stats like storm and attack are going to be great because they can use the attack, they can use the storm, and then they're going to die anyway. So you don't care.
What do you think, Mofu?
I think mostly along those same lines of thought, assuming the meta kind of stays the same way it is and the kind of strongest cards that don't really care too much about board state or trading is very easy stays the way it is. I think Automated Soldier really will shine if we ever see a kind of slower paced format where board control and making very strong trades ends up becoming a really big part of the game. Because controlling like some of your opponent's attacks can be a really big deal in Shadowverse. 1/2 puppet is the difference between a Dread Sea combo doing like 18 or 9 damage to you at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't think Automated Soldier himself really kind of makes puppets like work. I don't think he's a super like staple card in them, but I think he's a really interesting tool for them, and I like him a lot. He also looks really cool.
Yeah, I would be scared. I would be scared. I would not want to be friends with that guy. Is that a creepy
That's rude. That's just rude. Really.
That's just rude. All right, hey, get this guy off.
He needs friends too, buddy.
Get this guy off the screen. Masked puppet. Ooh, is this? This is not considered a puppet, right? I'm gonna assume that. Masked puppet says it's a 5 play point 2/2. Oh my God, you are weak. Evolves into 4/4. Fanfare, put a puppet into your hand. When an allied puppet is destroyed, gain +1/+1. Well, that makes sense now. What do you think, Envy?
So again, puts a puppet into your hand. You can immediately play that puppet. So it's a 5 play point with a 1/1 rush on the side. Then if that rush dies, it gets +1/+1. So it's like a 4/4 kind of. If you mash all the stats together and do all the math there. This card can get pretty big if you have like 5 puppets or something and you play it and then ram them all into something and then, evolve it or something. But what we learned in Shadowverse, I think if like the first thing you learn in Shadowverse is that giant vanilla beat sticks don't work in Shadowverse. They get baned, they get drained, they get killed by removal spells, they get killed by everything. This is a very, very take 2 oriented card that's going to try to like 2 for 1 for the board, but not really see much competitive play. I don't think there's any way it could.
I think the only exceptions that we've seen to that is if the card has ambush, Shadow Reaper, or if they're
yeah.
And also the other interesting thing to think about is puppets at the end of your opponent's turn get banished, correct? So it's
Right.
not like you can just play the puppets and have this thing get beefed up. You actually have to have something to trade in, which with puppets doing, what is it, I guess a 1 damage ping each, could be pretty feasible, you know, to throw in a whole bunch at one time. Mofu, what do you think?
Mostly along the same things. I think this is also going to be one of those basic cards that you see offered very, very frequently in Take 2. It teaches you how puppets work. It has a very cute side effect. You saying that about Shadow Reaper just made me realize how happy I am that this thing doesn't have ambush, or something that makes him hard
This
to
thing will be
remove.
playable for that ambush. Come on. You just like,
Yeah.
you give it ambush, you throw in a bunch of puppets, throw in more puppets, and evolve it and go face. There we go. We got
Then you
a
area
of
it.
Shadow
Yeah,
this
easy.
card.
Then you have it. Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
that's the token right there.
Yeah, perhaps the big stat buff it gives itself is not going to be the most important part of the card. In a vacuum, to me, it doesn't seem to be like a big mainstay of any kind of puppet deck. But I do think maybe if there's one thing that anyone would be sleeping on in terms of looking at all the puppet cards, it's putting a puppet into your hand. That itself is a very useful effect. Whereas a lot of vanillas won't give you this one aimed damage, this one does, and even if his stats aren't that great for it, it's still an interesting card. Probably more oriented for Take 2, but I like what I see in terms of all the puppet support and archetypes so far.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the last card for this particular segment. Gravikinetic Warrior. Gravikinetic Warrior. There it is. Gravikinetic Warrior. That's a weird word. 4 play point 3/4. Evolves into 5/6. It says Fanfare. Randomly put 2 of the following cards into your deck. The Analyzing, Ancient, Mystic, or Radiant artifact. And when you evolve it, you put a random artifact card from your deck into your hand. And Mofo, I think this is the one that you were talking about, right? It kind of first installs one of the artifacts, and then it brings it out into your hand in one fell swoop. How do you feel about it?
I think it's interesting, and this is one of those cards that I feel will create a division in how players approach artifacts. I think there will be some players that want to use a lot of the more random generation ones that could give you any of them, but just because both it gives you a lot more tools that could potentially happen, and maybe because some cards like the stronger Mystic or Radiant artifacts won't have cards that are dedicated to just giving you those, and you want them in your deck anyway. But my main analysis of this card itself is I'm noticing a lot of cards put 2 in out of 4. It adds an even number of cards to your deck, so it doesn't affect resonance if you don't do anything. That gives you a little bit of a decision. If you do evolve it, you added an odd number, so that switches whether on odd or even turns you're going to be in it. But I'm not sure how much that changes the decision dynamic for how you use the card. Other than that, it just seems like an interesting card, probably basic as well, to kind of teach you how all these things work, and just meant to be useful on a pretty basic level.
So the way to think about it is, when you play this card, you are unaffected. You're going to flip-flop. If you evolve it, then you maintain, right? So if you're on Resonance and you play this and you evolve it, then your next turn you're going to be on Resonance again.
I think it's
Right.
the other way around. Wait. Yeah, no, you're right.
Because it puts 2 in, pulls 1, and you draw 1 for your turn.
Yeah.
If you're in.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. My brain already hurts. All right. any other things that you want to add on to that?
Well, I mean, other than the fact this card is basically staple, this is a triple immediate. Every single artifact deck will probably play 3 of these immediately. I also like the fact that putting 2 in also messes with resonance in a way, but it also helps with the randomness of putting 2 of 4 in, right? If you were to put in just 1, you might just get that 3/1 every time and be like, man, I hate artifacts. They're so dumb. But if you put 2 of 4 in, you're going to likely get, one of the 2 better ones, right? You're not going to likely get the 2 bad ones every time.
That is
So
interesting.
I really love that.
Is the assumption that they're going to be 2 unique ones, or is it kind of like round
I
table?
think they will be. The way Tarnished Grail works in the game currently will never give you... It gives you 3 Prince of Darkness cards, but it's worded the same, I do believe, and it does not give you duplicates.
Right.
So I
Interesting.
don't think this card will give you duplicates.
Interesting. Because that is important to think about, right? Because I guess the only other example is Roundtable Assembly, which is not really the same effect because it's actually putting followers into play rather than drawing a card into your hand. We'll see. We'll see.
I also don't think it's worded the same way, but...
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that is a very big effect if you can get 2 unique ones. That gives you a better opportunity to hit into at least one of the ones that are more useful. But it's lots of stuff to think about. Let's move on here to the next match. The North America versus EU show match continues. 2 wins for North America. They're making their way to victory here. I think
At least a tie.
at least a tie. Swordcraft earned the one off the back of some Gawain, Walfrid, Otohime Commander Sword. The Dragoncraft deck made their way using Dragon New OTK with a Python in there, just for show, you know. And next we're going to have, let me figure out who these players are. We're going to have the next show match here, the third match, and it's going to be Kionis versus Gengar. So that's going to be interesting. I have no idea what they're going to play, but I think the excitement, the anticipation is what really sells it. So Mofu is going for Europe, and Envy is going for North America. Let's put some stakes on the table. If you guys, you know, Exodium already has to wear a fraud shirt and buy Aya Senpai and me 20 packs for Chronogenesis. What is on the line here?
20?
Yeah.
Where are my 20 packs? What the heck?
I'll share 10 of them. I'll share 10 of mine with you. We're fine. But what are the stakes
I just want
here?
to point out, I'm already down 2 games here. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, so you can make the bets more favorable for yourself. You know, the odds are better, or the odds are worse for you, so you can make your payout better.
if EU wins, I need you to cast RNG Voodoo Magic to make sure that I get Albert in my free packs.
I don't know if that's possible. It's gonna be a Shadowcraft mirror. Gengar versus Kionis. Take it away, guys.
Oh boy, is Gengar playing aggro shadow? I think. Yeah, I
Looks like
think.
it. As a goblin. Goblin identified.
Heck
It's
yeah.
aggro.
We saw Orthrus too, so you know. Oh my gosh, that hand.
Can you imagine if that Bone Chimera was like pre-nerf Prince Catacomb, right? That would be game. Like, it's over.
Imagine he draws into if he draws into the Orthrus that he got rid of. That would be interesting. I think Kionis' deck looks really similar. It's a Nep deck, yeah. I was gonna say it looks similar to one.
Yeah, interesting. So from the followers we've seen so far, it looks like it's just going to be that 2, 3, 7, 8, but it runs like neutral on the bottom half. So I'm wondering if he's got that like Death's Ledger tech in here too.
Oh yeah, actually that's a good idea. I like that a lot. That was slightly popular, I think, before Nep kind of completely died off. That was a thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember the only problem with it was like you needed to not draw your 3 drops or like the Attentive Knights specifically before you got to Ledger, or else every copy of Ledger after the first one just didn't do anything for a while until like after the Nephthys turn. But it's a pretty cool deck. I wonder if
Okay.
that's a 4,
okay.
that's a 4 cost and a 2 cost and a 3 cost and a 7 cost. That's okay. Here we go. Casino
Okay.
Nephthys. We in there.
All right. Okay. Kionis is getting it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like this list. Have you played a list like this before, Mofu?
Never. I've never pulled a Twilight Queen, and I didn't feel like crafting them until I saw Abyss Straddler. But yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as I understand it, if Nephthys pulls Twilight Queen, the next sequential last words after the Twilight Queen gets duplicated, like similar to a Round Table, I think.
Right. Yeah. You basically said how it works. Yeah. It's 100% completely random. So there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, yeah. Here we have it with the 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 Nephthys happening as well. And maybe he cut like Mordecai from this because he wants to get that double Cowie. I don't know. Back to the Nether God's also very interesting. So far though,
Well, you
I
actually
think...
Nephthys pulls different names. So
Oh, let's see.
yeah.
And shine.
Yeah.
Makes me
But
wonder
yeah,
if he just
so
runs
2,
there.
2, 3, 7, 8 Nep is it's a deck, right? It's a deck. Twilight Queen, if it triggers on if he's holding Lurching Corpses in his deck, and if it triggers on Cowies, is a pretty powerful effect. So
Mm-hmm. For sure. I feel like he's already in such a good spot here though, because this is something I empathize with greatly for anyone who's ever really played a lot of Aggro Shadow, is if your opponent has like 2 cost removal, then after like 3 or 4 turns, this is your life. Like you have one
yeah, you just
follower on
lose.
board
Yeah.
and you're just working off the top.
Feels bad. You're basically hoping to draw like Cerberus or Soul Conversion, I guess, at this point, if you're Gengar.
Yeah. Well, he does have Kionis nearly it's tough to escape this like 11 defense range. So if it just goes Cerberus next turn into Phantom Howl, then it was the easiest game of his life actually. But
right, yeah, if he just
without
plans that
happening,
perfectly. Except that also almost can't happen because Death's Breath is almost activatable. It's not completely activatable yet.
right. And Cowie on top of that, I don't know. I feel like Gengar just... This is not really what I would consider the best matchup for aggro Shadow, just because of how good Shadow is at defending itself from its own aggro archetype lately.
Not even running Ceres even, but he's great at defending himself. A Surf Tap deck is really good here though.
Ooh!
Okay.
Fresh tech
Looks like
from
you
the
took
skeleton
a
deck.
page out of the Mofu book. Alright.
It's my win con. I think that's good though. He's converted all of his Evo points into face damage, knows where to go. Only thing is that he's not the one using the Mordecai leader, so minus points from my total performance score off of that.
That's okay.
So how does Kunis navigate this though? He's like 4 more damage, and that's it. He doesn't have healing outside of dropping the Cowie. I'm assuming... So Cowie comes down after Cursed Soldier because he's on the draw. He doesn't have the shadows for Death's Breath and can't have it this turn.
Right.
So he just
could have
has to
actually
go
had it
and-
last turn. He could have done a cheeky... He knew that Gengar wouldn't trade, right? So that 6-2 is not going to do anything but go face. He could have actually soul converted his 4-drop last turn to have the cheeky Death's Breath this turn, but he's not going to get it. He's going to have to
So I
wait for
guess this
Cowie.
comes- How much damage can you clear? Oh gosh, he's dropping down to 1 after the Cursed Soldier. It doesn't have the threat of lethal,
baby.
so...
Okay, soul conversions now. So he's got Cowie Death's Breath to fall back on. But if Gengar does enough combat damage, it won't matter.
Okay.
That's
he
so
needs...
awkward.
He needs 1 damage. Just 1 damage.
1 damage.
Voices of Resentment. Oh,
That's
well,
not damage. Oh, the Orthos would have been damage. Oh, man.
yeah, no other body to sack for that, though.
Fortunate.
Um,
It's not going to work.
trying to
Even if
think.
it does.
Oh.
Oh, wait, answer. Okay, it worked. All right. It doesn't matter, though. The
Easiest.
Cowie's strong.
well, he gets the Cowie, and then Gengar can... No, the 4-4 goes into the 6-4.
There's actually a way
okay.
that Gengar can completely waste Cowie if it's played by Kionis here.
Oh, yeah. The zombie party works with it somewhat. I mean, Kainos trades the 4-4 into the 6-4 every time, I think.
Probably.
I mean, that is under the assumption Kainos even just jams Cowie here, because I mean, he doesn't know that he has the strongest bronze on Earth coming down for his head here.
Right. Well, as Kionis, you don't have to make that trade every time, because you have to realize, like, Shadow has no banishes. How do they get rid of the Cowie outside of trading into it?
Oh, yeah.
That heals you anyway, so...
Yeah.
Okay, Death
Here's the
Sludger,
Death
okay.
Sludger. Wait!
Into...
Oh, whoa.
He's not at 7. It can't beat 7. This is insane, though.
He just lost. The Orthrus and the
Yeah.
Cursed Soldier.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't
you know, he had
didn't
the
play
liches.
around First Soldier.
Gotcha.
Oh
Take that,
my
Hector.
gosh, dude.
Oh no. This is why, if you play with closed deck lists, sometimes you just...
Even still, Rainy, Phantom Howl is a card, okay? Phantom Howl was
Okay.
also 4 damage,
Well,
right?
You
Come
need
on.
to swag out on your opponent, right? You need to have liches everywhere. That's just the thing that needs to happen. Okay. Nobody cares about Phantom Howl. A bunch of spooky ghosts. They can't even...
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't hurt.
Yeah.
It's all an illusion. But yeah, you're right.
You're right.
You're right. The Cursed Soldier, though, is pretty sick. Mofu?
Yes.
Why is it that Cursed Soldier is such a good card? Why is it not an auto-include?
I don't have Ictors in my collection, so I just built Mid-Shadow using 3 Thanes and 3 Cursed Soldiers.
Is that real?
And I have at least a 40% win rate with it, which is,
At least
which is
a
pretty good.
40%.
It's pretty good.
It's better than my win rates.
40%, dude. Nice.
So
Still
North
enough to climb if I
America,
get lucky.
I mean, North America is looking like professionals right now. They are just knocking Europe down. That, you know, this actually all makes sense. The meme decks, of course, North America is going to win that match. That's
Yeah,
all
of
we do.
course.
That's all we
Yeah.
spend our time doing. We just play meme decks. I mean, I play King Elephant all the time. Oh, actually, it's not a meme deck. I play some very serious competitive decks. Okay, that's what happens. It was used.
Didn't you have EXO build your deck for you? I guess that's a meme deck in your eyes. Okay, all right.
No, EXO
I
built
guess
me
so,
Neutral
yeah.
Forest.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I was under the assumption that any deck EXO builds is a meme deck automatically. Okay.
EXO built Neutral Forest, and then I also took his Taurus Haven deck. So
Oh,
Taurus Haven, he lets you play. Oh gosh. Oh no.
it was great until it wasn't. It was great until it wasn't. But you know, it's okay. I forgive EXO. He still has to wear the fraud shirt, so. so
Yeah.
we're completely okay with that. We're gonna have a little chat with Meow here for a resting segment here. We have a nice and relaxing conversation with the one and only Meow 944. Hey, were you born in 1944? Is that why your name is Meow 944?
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Hey, how was it like in 1944?
How was it like? I think probably
Was
we traveled to
Shadowcraft still
playgrounds.
meta? Was Shadowcraft still meta then?
1944. Probably we have only zombies.
I see.
No more XR.
Uh,
No more Twilight.
yeah,
Queen,
no.
just zombies.
None of that, just zombies. Meow, good to get to talk to you again. How have you been? How have things been? Are you getting ready for your trip to Japan? How are you feeling about the World Grand Prix? Do you feel like you're well prepared? Are you expected to do very well there? What are you thinking right now?
Well, I spent a lot of time preparing my visa because, you know, the side games, they sent me the certificate of eligibility a little bit late, so I traveled to Edinburgh twice last week, and
Edinburgh.
I barely made it. I will receive it next Wednesday, and I'll take an early flight next Thursday, and got there on the 22nd.
Awesome.
I just barely made it because you know, I called the consulate and they said it would be too late. So I was so terrified. And you know, I just want to give my appreciation to the staff of Side Games. They just made it happen. You know, the consulate just they said that I can get it next Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah. So I didn't spend a lot of time preparing for the tournament last week because I will just spend all the time deal with this visa stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm super glad that the guys over there at Side Games could help you figure it out, and of course, I'm sure they really appreciate the communication and all of that stuff that went back and forth. I know that the international travel can be quite insane, but I'm looking forward to seeing you there. What are some of the things? I mean, you're gonna have to play on the Swiss stage. There's going to be a bunch of competitors from different regions qualified from a bunch of different regions there. Do you have any friends that you know either in Japan? Do you know any of the international community? Because I know you mentioned Piao, yourself, and I think one other. You guys come together and do a lot of Shadowverse stuff. Do you know other Shadowverse players there over in Asia or in Korea or anywhere?
I know a lot of players from Taiwan and China. Mainland, and also I watched some of those matches, those qualifying matches for in Japan. You know, the JCG openers and open qualifiers, and also the Rage tournament. I do personally. I don't know them well, but I do think they are strong competitors. Especially Angel, I saw him play on the tournament that includes two Taiwan teams and a Japanese team and a Korean team.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Angel play that game. He played very, very well. I'm his fan now, actually. And also I think Hasu is incredible. Hasu is an incredible player. I watched it. I searched on Twitter and saw his article about how he prepared for the Rage tournament, and I thought, oh, this is not a 16-year-old high school student. It's just, Asian 007.
Asian 007.
He studied all his opponents and made predictions of their decks, and he got it 6 out of 7.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's incredible. I mean, look at his articles, and I just think, oh my god, this guy's gonna win the tournament.
Well, you have the insider information. You can become the 007. You can be the 944, Agent 944 is your mission here, Meow. Super excited to go out there and meet you. And also, let's make sure that when we get out there, we spend some time. Very excited for the World Grand Prix. Is there anything that you want to say to just everybody watching or friends and family that you have before we kind of move on here?
Not much, but I assume that there are some fans of mine, if there really is.
I'm a fan.
Watching this show. Hope to see you in Japan if you are working or studying in Japan, and let's have a great meeting. During the Christmas.
Awesome.
And play some Shadowverse.
Yes.
And looking forward to see you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Meow. Good luck in all your other preparations, and we're going to move on with the show here. I think that's super cool. I mean, some of these players are, they're very international, and it's great to see Meow have certain connections here, and also very insightful and interesting in his tournament preparation. He's obviously looking around and trying to make sure he understands some of the other regions, which is, I think, tough. It is tougher than it seems to get information about what's happening in Japan or what's happening, in Korea or some of these other regions here. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. What do you guys think about Hasu? I know Hasu has been making waves. Particularly, I feel like lately there's been a resurgence. Do you guys have any thoughts or ideas on the player? And did you read that article that he was mentioning? Any of us? No. I'm going to go back.
I did not know.
I read an article. I forgot who the player was, but I think he was talking more about Dreadsea Dragon. I can't remember who the player was, but it actually is really interesting to see what the top-end Japanese players are doing in terms of tournament preparation. There's some very intricate things, so very interesting. I'm going to ask Meow for a link. I recommend that you guys ask him for a link as well. Just spam in Twitch chat. Meow, give me the link, please.
They can't put links in Twitch chat. They'll get timed out, Rainy.
That was the plan.
That was the plan.
Don't listen to Rainy at all, chat. Nobody put links in chat. Come on.
What are we doing next in the show? Yeah, let's move on here. Let's go on to review more cards here. Portalcraft, I'm actually really liking all these cards that we're reviewing. I think they're very interesting to look at and is bringing a new dynamic to the game. I think they did a good job with the different elements of the deck, whether that be the artifacts or the resonance or the puppets. So we have here, a legendary. This is Magna Legacy, an 8-play.66, 8-play.88, so it's very much like the Imperial Swordsman. Was that what his name was?
Same stat
Fanfare. Line. Deals 0 damage to all enemy followers. This value equals the number of allied artifact cards destroyed during this match. Interesting. What do you think, MV?
Well, we've seen this card before in Runecraft, and his name was Mithril Golem. And he was much, much more powerful and not nearly as much as playable. But on the upside, Magna Legacy is a giant cannon. So I can role play my Yamato cannon blasting off when I play this card. So, yeah.
What do you think, Mofu?
Effectively the same thing. It's like all artifacts of the earth, just give this card your energy. It's really interesting because I think Mithril Golem missed its chance to really be an impactful card. It was in a class where this sort of develop a body and clear your opponent's board at the same time isn't really that appreciated, because I mean that class could just de-shift for the same amount of effort that it puts in. Though I snagged a lot of amazing wins in Take 2 using him. How Magna Legacy fits into Portalcraft really just comes down to, all right, what does a game where you play out a ton of artifacts and push them all into the board and your opponent has to deal with them, how much advantage do you have at that point in the game? Does it mean that Magna Legacy is actually going to be a significant finisher? Who knows? But I think it's a really cool card, and I want to go watch the YouTube video of the Chronogenesis trailer again to see it animated and firing off.
I hope...
Also, just want to mention, like, real quick, these are not these are artifacts. So, like, if you randomly generated a bunch of 3 play point, 5 play point artifacts, this thing could just be dead in your hand at 8 play points. It's very likely this thing does absolutely nothing at 8 play points. So I just want to put that out there before anybody is like, you know, oh, that could do like 7 damage to the board. It's like, no, it will probably do like 3 or 4 on average if you get 3 or 4. Like,
unless there's some really amazing ways to actually put artifacts on the board and generate enough. I mean, so far what we've seen, at most 2 into your deck and 1 into your hand. And so it's going to be really draw reliant, I think. And also the consideration of, like, if you're drawing artifacts, you're probably not drawing cards like Magnetic Legacy, right? If you do generate so many artifacts, right, then that actually does clog up each of your turns when you're drawing. You're like, okay, I'm not actually getting... Unless you're getting a ton of Radiant artifacts, then, you know, whatever. the game is pretty simple, I think, at that point. But cool. Let's move on. Magna Legacy. Okay, the next card is Puppeteer's Strings. It's a Portalcraft Silver. It says, put 2 puppets into your hand and deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. Interesting. So this 4 play point, do something and then do 1 damage to everything seems to be something that they're pushing a lot here. I wonder if there's kind of a state of the game that Cygames foresees in their card design, that they feel like this is a very needed effect, because we've seen that across a few different cards here. MV, what do you think about this card?
This card is, I'm glad you made the comparison, because the parallel that it has to Confront Adversity, I think is the name of the card we saw earlier today. Very similar, except this card puts the puppets into your hand where you could maybe buff them or give them Storm or something, whereas the Swordcraft variant puts them on the board where they can be buffed by, like, you know, Mars or something. So I do like the parallel there, where the cards are, they're basically exactly the same, but they play more towards their faction that they're in. So that's pretty neat. Whether the card is actually good or not, I think it's kind of comes down to exactly what we said about Confront Adversity. Although it is in Portalcraft, so, you know, Portalcraft may end up being a bit stronger than Sword overall, so you might see this card a bit more, maybe, just because, I don't know. A good comparison is actually to Night Horde. If you have no bats on board, Night Horde does 2 damage to something, 1 thing, and puts 2 bats on the board. This would do 1 to everything, and then you could play the 2 puppets, which are basically bats with Rush. So...
Yeah. I mean, the way to think about it is kind of like a weaker Salamander, right? Where it's like you can target your damage to do 3 to 1 because it does 1 to all, and then you play your 2 puppets and you can rush it, right? And then it does 1 to everything else. So it might be, you know, a good, like, oh, I don't have to wait until 6 to get a wide board clear, but it doesn't need to be as
strong. Puppets are much better than Knights. Puppets are much better than Knights because they have Rush. So yeah.
What do you think, Mofu?
Mostly similar stuff. I'd say of all the cards we've seen so far that have puppet support, this may be one of my favorites. I find it very difficult to evaluate how useful this 1 damage AoE is going to be. Going forward, I really, really do hope it ends up being significant for the game. I think it's very healthy for it. But my favorite thing about the card is, you know, as you said, it's kind of like a customizable Breath of the Salamander. It's not as capable of just wiping an entire board from a ton of different versatile states, but being able to target 2 damage in the midst of something that can already deal like 4 or 5, clear a bunch of tokens by itself is really cool for a card. I really like both that and the fact that you do get to hold the puppets if you don't need that much for it. There's a lot of cool ways that you can kind of use this card, and that's the kind of cards I like seeing in Shadowverse.
The only other thing that I would add to this is it is a 4 play point card, which means that it's on one of the first evolution turns, which always is, I think the play point 4 and 5 are probably the most important in terms of card text and really understanding what additional effects you have. Typically, I think that's around the stage where you do look at cards and you think, well, just pure stats and value is not actually going to be the thing that decides whether this card is played or not, right? So let's take a look at the next card here. 3 play point Toy Soldier. Oh, these guys, oh my god, please, that thing is so scary.
Really?
Why did they have to do that?
That's scary, Rainy.
That's scary. Are you not? Is that not freaky to you?
It's a little.
Okay, Envy's one of those people who just watches horror movies for fun. I'm pretty sure.
My question is, why does he go
I feel like
from
somebody
using...
jumping out and saying "boo" would scare you, like legitimately actually scare you.
That doesn't happen. Don't try it, because I won't be scared, okay? I won't be scared if you do that. 3 play point 2/1 evolves to a 4/3 and an ugly mug. Toy Soldier says, Fanfare, put a puppet into your hand, and then on Evolve, it says, whenever an allied puppet comes into play, give it +1/+0. Mofu, what do you think?
Something I wanted to point out is, why does he go from using a gun to using a cutlass? Where did the gun go? He's holding a cutlass on his side.
Yeah, he's holding the cutlass on his side, but he just drops the gun entirely. I don't know why.
Yeah. I have a pretty conflicted view of this card. I think this card, flavor-wise, is one of the coolest uses of the evolve mechanic on like how it transforms the card into something entirely new or flips and surprises you with what its other side looks like. I love this. Like Lucifer also did it. I want more cards that use Evo like this. But how the card kind of holds up as standalone, I think I can give it two comparisons. One is to Angel of the Word. I think in that case it sort of loses out. You have the utility of holding a puppet, but otherwise its body is quite fragile. The other is Icarus. I think Icarus, the 2-cost 2/2 that allows you to evolve it to search the 3/1 rush artifact, in terms of purely how it answers board or how it deals with many situations, is going to outclass Toy Soldier. But once again, I don't know how useful or how strong the whole puppet package is going to be going into the mid game. Maybe this card will be just good enough to kind of support it or supplement it in the early game. It's hard to say, but I like it for the flavor and design of it as well.
Well, certainly very interesting. Envy, anything to add on to it?
This card is basically going to be something what Mofu said earlier. If holding puppets is a good thing to do, this is one of the lowest play point investments to get one in your hand. So if that's good, then this might be playable. If that's not worth it, then this won't see much play, I don't think.
Interesting. Interesting to think about. 3 play point, 4/3, and if you're thinking about it in terms of removal, on Evolve you have 6 damage rush on the board, I think. So that is interesting to think about. But let's move on. Let's move on. Toy Soldier. Here we have the Wow. What the heck?
See, this card I can get behind. This card is cool, man. I like this card.
This card is weird. 3 play point, 3/3. Cursed Stone evolves into 5/5. Unevolved, it says it's warded and it can't attack, so it's basically a wall. And then when you evolve it, it still can't attack. Wait a minute, that's not... Hold on, that's not what I was expecting. It still can't attack, and it says evolve if resonance is active for you. Remove all effects on this follower. That is an interesting wording. Remove all effects on this follower. So basically, it becomes not a ward, and it can attack. Now, for my own curiosity, if this thing gets Mr. Full Mooned, if you evolve it, does it gain back its attack?
I bet it does with that wording.
Probably.
That'd be really interesting.
Finally,
this is
a counter to Mr. Full Moon.
Mr. Full Moon counter, we found it! Oh god. Yeah.
Why would you full moon this in the first place, Rainy? Come on.
Hey, please don't say these things that are obvious incorrect.
This card right here, Rainy, is what I like to call. This card is fair. Okay. 3 play point, 3/3 with ward is a bit over the vanilla test, like a little bit, but it can't attack, so it's fair. I like it. I think it's I think it's great for take 2. I think it's seeing this power level of a card in the game is just cool to me. It makes me like realize that Side Games appreciates cards like this existing, but it's a bad Guardian Golem.
Oh no. What do you think, Mofu?
Something that I chuckled at when I first saw it is I feel like this is a self-explanatory meme template. Like the one on the left before he's evolved, he looks just like Resident Sleeper as an emote. And the one on the right is just like, you can use this for anything. But anyways, similar to maybe Guardian Golem, I don't know. I think I'd compare this more to that dragon card that is rotating, Imprisoned Dragon, who's a 4/3 with ward and can't attack. You evolve it, 5/4 can attack. Better stats, but I don't really think the defense part of the evolution was really what made that card useful back in its day in like Darkness Evolved. It's more you want to have that slightly overstated body that prevents attacks. It's hard to say. I don't know how much ward is going to be necessary in Portalcraft. This is the first real in-class source we have of it. It's hard to call. I think it's a useful card at least in draft formats, but how well it fares and constructed is really dependent upon how much they need a ward body.
Yep.
It'd be also interesting to think about. I mean, so far we've seen a very wide range of cards for Portalcraft, but there's not a lot of cards that have been revealed or at least immediately talked about that is anything like, oh, here is a 1, 2, 3 curve that's going to set you up with this amazing board state, right? So anything aggro we haven't really been thinking about. We haven't really seen any kind of 4, 5, 6 cards that are hugely impactful in the sense of like a Karabos, right, on 6 or something like that, you know? So any of these faster game plans, we haven't really been revealed to what the options are. We've only seen some high-end options for like 8 play points, 9 play point territory things.
I also want to point out real quick, if you evolve that card for the ward and the board control, and your opponent plays Sammy to draw you into Resonance, and it loses ward and you die because of it.
That's interesting. Does that happen? Does the Resonance kick in after the evolve, or does the Resonance check on the evolve?
I would imagine if Resonance is available for you, it just loses effects as
That's
state-based.
so. It's
hopefully.
like turning a switch on and off and on, right? So it's like, oh, you're off Resonance, it can't attack, and then
Sammy's
now it can't.
now.
Oh, now it can't.
Sammy's
I feel
good.
like it's the evolve effect, but I mean that'd be really interesting if it did actually switch on and off. I mean, I always
I'd be so mad.
when I first read
I'd
about
be so
Resonance, I wanted like the actual leader to like react every time it goes on and off. Like he's got this power aura and he's screaming the entire time it's on, and then you draw one card and he's just like.
And then you just keep drawing cards, and then you see him go up and down. That'd be
Basically.
hilarious. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So we are at about the halfway point of the show. A lot of exciting new cards, as well as an overview of Portalcraft, and the EU vs NA show match will continue. Just as a reminder, stay tuned, because after the break, some announcements for the next season of the Shadowverse Open is coming. And we're also going to be joined by Exodium and Aya Senpai in the place of Mofu and Envy. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for all the time. Any thoughts about any of the cards revealed in Portalcraft just in general, Envy?
They look fun and exciting, and reveal more sword cards, please.
Reveal more sword cards. That is a big curiosity, is what is the identity of sword going to be, especially post rotation. Mofu, any final thoughts?
I love puppets. I love the design of all the puppets. Give me more of those every expansion. I'm ready to main it. That's about it.
Puppet main.
Portalcraft looks awesome.
Mofu is a puppet main now. Alright guys, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, Exo and Aya and more Shadowverse Talk Show. We are back for more Shadowverse Talk Show. Again, the most important day in Shadowverse Open's life. The most important day.
Loving the shirt.
Yeah, I'm just a fanboy like everybody else today.
It's accurate at the very least. I can say that much.
Yes, it is.
It's
yes,
accurate.
It is. This is the closest thing I had to a fraud T-shirt, so I figured it was super appropriate today.
The filthy casual is the hat a filthy casual hat?
Yeah, I'm complete fanboy. I've got my neck beard going today. Like, you know what I mean? We're in it.
Wait, is there any text on the hat? On the top?
There's no text on the hat.
Oh, there's not the text. It's just a hat.
All
okay.
black. Yeah.
Well, great. This is great attire. That's Exo. That's Aya joining us for some Shadowverse Talk Show action. New cards being revealed. A bunch of stuff happening. The next season of Shadowverse Open. Portalcraft stuff. EU versus NA. So North America is just kicking butt right now. Is that something we expect? Did you guys see this happening?
Well,
I didn't have an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, as you stated before, North America is like king memes. You know what I mean?
King
it's the
memes,
home of all the memes. It's what we do.
Yeah,
so.
that's where they excel is in all the memes. But let's get this show kind of moving here. What did you guys think of so far the cards revealed? Have you been keeping up with it and some of the Portalcraft cards? Just initial thoughts, Exo. I guess you first, and then we'll.
Well, one of the first things I want to say about all of these new cards is you have to think about it as far as rotation is concerned. So maybe not all these cards look so good right now, but come new format, and even I think you mentioned this, Rainey, when we're talking about new formats, maybe they're going in a design direction to where these cards are going to see a lot more play, like the 4 play point deal ones to the entire board type of thing. Maybe that's the new standard. Right now it's 3, right? We already have a 3 drop that does it. Maybe 4 is the new standard because you're going to be popping out stuff a little bit later than you would otherwise want to at the moment. But Portalcraft looks sweet. I can't wait for more cards to be shown for Portalcraft because there are, I mean, it's just all new mechanics, right? It's something else that you have to wrap your mind around. So you got to train your brain, as Mofu would say, with all these new, with all these new Portalcraft. So I'm super excited.
What about for you, Aya?
I think that the game is doing something that I'm very happy about, and it's slowing down a bit. Like, just from the cards we've seen so far. I don't know about from that, but we are definitely seeing, like, finishers for, like, later in the game. Like, you're talking, like, 9 play points, 8 play points, stuff like that. You're seeing that stuff later in the game, and I'm actually really enjoying seeing that right now, and I actually hope that the game kind of continues going in that direction. Just a little bit of a slower game. Let's get out of this super aggro stuff. I mean, let's actually play some games that, you know, that's what I'm actually really liking about the stuff I'm seeing.
Well, we'll see if that trend continues, and certainly it's going to be one thing that we're keeping our eye out for. So, before we head back into show matches, let's talk about the new Shadowverse Open season. 2018 is upon us, and that means there's a bunch of new stuff that's going to happen. Shadowverse Open Chronogenesis is going to be North America and Europe again, of course, coming back. We're going to play the rotational format is going to be what's going to be the mainstay format that's going to be used for all the tournaments. The tournaments are going to be weekly and open, so all throughout the season, players can jump in, join, participate, and compete, and these will all culminate into a finals bracket that's going to be invitational based on the points you earn for your weekly attendance. So the idea is that we want to open the thing up to more people and have people have access to it for more weeks across the season, as well as kind of provide the best opportunity for players who are performing well consistently to make it to the finals bracket and kind of make a championship run there. The first tournaments are going to be January 20th and 21st, so that is about kind of the first month after the expansion has released. And also, as a exciting new announcement, monthly Southeast Asia and Oceania tournaments are going to open or begin in the Shadowverse Open here. So we're going to have the opportunity to see some players from Southeast Asia and Oceania compete now, which is very exciting. That's kind of down in the territory of people like Ignidius and all those guys down there. So I'm really excited to be able to start seeing some of those players and seeing how they do there. So very cool stuff. looking forward to the next season and even more competition. And of course, I mean, with the World Grand Prix happening here, I'm also very excited to hear any other plans that Side Games has for any other kind of international tournament. Because as we have more and more regions participating, we're going to get to see more and more people turn out at these events, which is really cool. I'm really excited for that. So, with that, let's continue with the show match. North America versus Europe. If North America 6-0s, that's going to be a huge mark against Europe here. I don't know if I'm on board with. Yeah, I don't
that
know if I
cannot be
can support.
understated.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
The most support, you could do whatever in the actual season of the tournament, but
Yeah.
if you fail here, Europe, I'm going to be real disappointed. I'm going to be real disappointed. All my heroes.
Kings, the real crown is gonna be put on.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be out the water.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
As Senpai knows, both him and I, we take our memes very seriously. Okay, that's where the real heart of the game is. Okay.
Absolutely.
True. Very true.
So we have Onion Sheep versus Eplicus up next. I can't wait to see what crafts they're going to be representing. We've already seen Fantasy represent on Sword. Then we had Underwear on Dragoncraft and Gengar on Shadowcraft. And each of those, actually, interestingly enough, at different points in time, we've talked to them. I guess maybe not so much Underwear, but I know that Fantasy kind of just really likes Sword. He plays it quite a bit. And Gengar actually mentioned Shadowcraft was the craft that he started out playing the game on, I'm pretty sure. So
I remember this.
Yeah, so-
I remember way back when EXG was running tournaments. I played against him in, I think, the first tournament I ever played against, and he was playing a sweet, sweet Shadow deck that made me think about the game in a different way.
So he really actually likes that. So I'm interested to see which of these crafts these players are kind of attaching themselves to. So we have Rune versus Haven. Oh no! Onion Sheep is playing Haven craft. Let's see what their decks are, guys. Take it away.
I like how you
Haven.
said, "Oh no."
Right?
I like how you said that. Like,
Oh no!
oh no, it's Haven.
All right,
I can't believe
Aya,
someone's playing that.
talk some smack to Rainy right now about his hate on Haven, okay?
All right, man. See, Rainy, you can't be hating on Haven. One, because you're bad with it. That's problem. Okay.
Just because you can't win games, Rainy, with Havencraft doesn't mean that Havencraft is bad craft. Okay, Havencraft,
Right.
best craft. I support
Right.
it. I supports it. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay.
Let's go.
How can you hate for the white? I mean, really?
Right. Talk about
I mean,
design
really?
space, okay? You got to be looking at every single Havencraft follower that comes out in the future and see if it works with Aether or the White Wing. Then tell me Havencraft's bad. Come on. Too many
Come on.
good things
Come on, Rainy.
happening.
Come on, Rainy. Sheesh. Okay. Anyway, there's absolutely no surprise to see Onion Sheep playing Haven. In many events, we've seen him play Haven. So this is no surprise to me.
Yep. And this is an interesting keep from Eplicus, actually. Decided to keep with the Clark and the Insight and the Chimera, so he really likes this start. I'm assuming this is a Daria deck, but because it's memes, who can know?
Well, maybe it is Daria. I mean, he's running a Clark and Craig's, so I mean, do you play those in decks that aren't Daria?
Hey, man, maybe it's just tempo spell boost, okay? You never know these things.
Okay, come on, man. I'm not buying that you actually believe that.
Look, okay? Onion Sheep is playing Tempo Heresy's Avatar, okay? So I wouldn't put it past Eplicus to be playing Tempo
man.
Chimera.
But see, no, but this is the Heresy's Avatar Tempo thing is actually a deck though.
What?
Yes.
You tell me this is not a meme.
No, dude, I'm serious. This is a deck.
Get out of here. I don't believe you. Chat.
Hey,
Chat.
people make.
Tell me if he's a liar or not. Come on.
I'm not, dude. I'm not lying. See, this is what happens when you're just exposed to very limited amounts of different ways of thinking, EXO. You gotta open your mind.
Is that right? Okay.
You gotta open your mind.
Hey, I don't discount that it is a deck, but like when you say it's a deck, that means something. That's different than saying somebody can make it. That means that people are playing this archetype. I haven't seen this list. Come on.
Of course you have. Again, you gotta expose yourself to different ways of thinking.
I don't like when you come at me with that word. I expose. Okay, it's not, doesn't make me feel comfortable. Okay, let's get back into Shadowverse. All right, so we haven't learned anything new about Eplicus's deck so far. I think Onion Sheep is pretty clear, cut and dry. He's got some removal spells in Scripture and Themis' Decree. He's got Heresy's Avatar to push his amulets into the late game, and he's got some nice little tempo cards in White Tiger. Who do you think has the edge in this matchup?
Oh, I definitely think it's Onion Sheep. Like, I think it's 100% Onion Sheep. He's got all 3 Themis Decrees, which is like any type of tempo, Daria, whatever list, it's nightmare. They don't ever want to see board clear. He's got all of them in hand right now. Not only that, but the Heresy's Avatar allows Onion Sheep later in the game to just set up really incredible boards that just can help in the game. Like playing Beast Called Arias, the Divine Bird songs. Let's go.
Look at this. Look at this. Tempo spell boost. Who needs Daria? Who needs it?
That's because he hasn't drawn it yet. Come on, man. Come on.
Who needs it?
Obviously him, because he's basically out of cards.
Yeah, he is out of cards. He decided to throw his Chimeras into the board just for a strong tempo play right before Themis' Decree, of course. But with the bird popping and a Tribunal, not so scary.
Right. So, I'm very interested to know, like, and since we're talking about, like, new sets and new formats and rotation and all that, Heresy's Avatar is one of those cards that I'm very interested to see how it does in the new rotation. If the game indeed does slow down a bit, is there a place for it?
I mean, it's not bad. It basically turns everything on. Like, all the bad things that we talk about in Haven, right, are just the fact that if you play a lot of amulets, they just don't do anything in the late game. With Heresy's Avatar, it turns all of them on. So it just depends on how powerful they get. If the ones that we like, you know, still remain strong, things like that. But I feel like it could have a good place. If everything slows down, I mean, activating all of your late game amulets seems pretty decent.
Well, Eplicus is probably wishing he had a Daria right about now, because that hand is looking pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty garbo right there. And even trying to fight against this lone Tribunal, his hand looks bad, right? He might get a threat onto the board, but how much damage can he really deal before this gets swept under the rug yet again? I mean, this is probably just going to get Themis, honestly.
He could do that, or he could actually just throw down a Heresy's Avatar now. But he might not necessarily want to blow the Evo here. So I think Onion Sheep is perfectly content with just playing control.
Yeah. Play control, play this Heresy's Avatar. Eplicus might not even have a way to deal with it. It's too big, man. 6'5" body for 7, too big.
Yeah. And, one thing I want to kind of talk about with Tribunal is that if Tribunal's a setup, right, they're frustrating, man. Because you're like, well, I don't want to play anything, because if I do, that's a Bahamut. Wow.
That is a Bahamut.
Okay. Anyway, you're like, I don't want to play into this right away, but in a way, it's like, well, if you're just passing turns, not playing anything, how do you win?
That's true. Still got to get there. So Eplicus still has time, but again, this Heresy's Avatar is a monster.
Yeah.
A monster.
He can kill it, though.
Yeah, he can. He can if he basically puts all the rest of his resources into it, and it doesn't look like he's doing that. I think he's thinking, face is the place. I've got to get as much damage in as I possibly can. The end.
I 100% respect that decision, because I think if he starts just trading, there's not much he's going to be able to do. See, look at that. Guardian Sun, that's exactly what this deck runs. Guardian Sun, Heresy's Avatar. I mean, I'm not kidding.
I mean, this deck makes so much sense, because, you have Guardian Sun, and then you play Bahamut, and then... Sup, dude? That's some combo. That's so good.
Wow. Yeah. Clearly, you get the 13-13 word. Oh, wait, that doesn't happen because it blows it up.
These are sweet combos. I think all that's really happening is Onion Sheep just is playing a deck that is running Eplicus out of cards. The end.
Yeah.
And that's all he needs to do. So, yeah.
Oh, I mean, these White Tigers are basically brick wall.
Yeah. And then a Tribunal sitting in play means even if Adari gets drawn off the top, not too likely Eplicus has a chance here.
I'm kind of thinking this might just be a concession. Like, I mean, I guess it's a little early. He does have one more turn. Like, yeah, there it is. He knows. He's like, man, okay, man. It's like there's nothing. I'm done.
Whatever.
Yo. Oh, yo. He can't. Oh wait, 7 or less, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Can't Bahamut to the dome.
Oh man, that's right. 7 or less. I would have been.
That
so
would be pretty incredible. I think Zodiac Demon might actually be one of the best cards in the game if you could discard a Bahamut to it. That would be insane.
Bahamut 13 to your face.
Yeah, take that big juicy L.
Well, that's exactly what's about to happen here. Unfortunately, Eplicus just was not able to draw anything at all.
Yeah, this is what happens when you try to play Daria decks. It punishes you because not even Daria likes you for doing it.
Yeah, Daria's like, don't play me.
Yeah, don't do it. I'm gonna make you brick so hard that you're never gonna want to play me again. All I want for Christmas is.
Yeah. So I
hey
hook it
man,
up.
that's a good Christmas wish right there. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yes. Okay, Onion Sheep. You know what? Just for that, I hope somehow he loses.
In true meme fashion, Onion Sheep gave away the board. Perfect. I need to see this followed up by a Themis' Decree real quick.
Yes. Extend the game for whatever reason.
So I was going to say that, Europe has a chance now, right? Onion Sheep bringing him back on the board, but he might just be throwing this away for Europe. He might just be throwing it away, man.
Yeah, you know what? He might just not care.
He's like, you know what? Down with EU. I'm done with it.
He said, I'm moving.
I'm moving to California next week. You don't even know.
Exactly. I'm out of here. He's laughing.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do. He's like, what's happening right now?
I don't understand. I think Onion Sheep is writing something.
Can we point out that Onion Sheep's dog is super cute? I didn't know Onion Sheep had a dog until today. Maybe we've seen it on his camera before, but this is the first time he's got a nice little cute outfit on.
Definitely seen it before today. Well, sheesh. Man, don't do the Themis, please. Just don't.
I'm almost expecting. He's got it. He's got to do it.
Don't do it. Don't play Themis Decree. Okay.
Sad.
Okay. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I think I may have had a heart attack.
Power of Heresy's avatar right there with Guardian Sun. Here's where the combo lies, right here. 2 4/5s with Ward. Deal with it.
Well, Eplicus is at 1. He can at least kill the Bahamut with the Dance of Death, but...
Stop!
Yeah.
Going for the Ward. I like it.
It's knowledge I seek.
It just... I guess he didn't feel like killing the Bahamut. That's cool. I guess.
Hey man, this is the only way he can win is by clearing off these wards. Maybe drawing some Blade Mages. I fully expect another Themis' Decree. If this doesn't happen, I will be very sad. Thank you. Thank you very much, Onion Sheep.
I mean, he could have won already, to be fair. He could have already won.
I think what he's trying to do is embarrass Eplicus right now. He's just trying to embarrass him.
Maybe,
I can do all of these things and you still can't beat me.
No, I know what it is. Merry Christmas from Disaster. I love
it. Merry Christmas, the ultimate BM.
Yo,
the ultimate BM.
Is he gonna trade? Is he gonna trade? I can't take this, dude.
The hits don't stop, man.
Yo, I can't take this.
Jeez, what's your problem?
I'm sorry, this is too much. This is too much. Oh my goodness.
Oh yes, here we go. He can actually just do the same play he did before if he wants to play this Bahamut.
Wow.
This is the worst BM I have ever seen. Eplicus draws his Daria.
Oh man, I'm so sorry, but this. Oh. I'm dying over here.
So, what do you think Envy's reaction is gonna be? No, actually, Envy's rooting for NA. What do you think? What do you think Mofu and Rainy's reaction is gonna be if Onion Sheep literally tanks EU by not winning this game?
I think that their reaction is probably going to be similar to what mine is right now.
Why no?
Okay.
Oh, he's dabbing it. There we go. There's the finish.
Thank you for this game.
How does it take 31 cards to find one Daria? That has to be. I'm pretty sure that Epicus, with the amount of bricks he earned, could build a mansion with what just happened there. That has to be. That is the worst game of Daria I've ever seen.
I think Onion Sheep was really just trying to prove that you shouldn't play Daria. I think that's just what he was doing.
Yeah, that was a heavy brick. That thing.
Yeah.
That thing would sink the Titanic. Hey, Heresy's Avatar. That's a deck. Just
super strong.
I don't know where you guys got the idea that I hate Haven. I actually don't know. I think, good or bad, I have no idea, but I actually love the deck.
You said unfortunately. You said unfortunately. That's where we got it from.
Unfortunately? What do you mean by that?
You said Onion Sheep unfortunately has to play Haven.
Yes.
Unfortunately? Did I really say that?
Yeah, that's what you said.
I don't think. Interesting.
Check the VOD.
I need to check the tape. Hey, Europe has our first win. Europe has our first win. That's strange because, Haven is the only other craft that I play now instead of Forest. I only play Forest and Haven, so weird. Weird how these people get their ideas, huh?
Especially when you say them.
Yeah. Hey, do as I do, not as I say. Europe has one win here, so it's 1-3, and that means that Europe is finally on the board, and Onion Sheep, in classic dad fashion, has made it happen. So, really, really good on them. Let's see if they can tie it up. We have a new card to reveal, so this is going to be fresh out of the gates here. Let's get ourselves prepared for that. Let's see what it is. Goblin Emperor for 3 play points. It's going to be a 2/2, and he evolves into a 4/4, and it says Fanfare. Randomly put one of the following cards into your hand. Goblin, Goblin Leader, or Goblin Princess. Whenever an allied follower that originally costs 1 play point or less comes into play, give it Rush. So, this is very interesting. Each of these can take advantage of that effect. What do you think? Let's start with Aya.
This is, I think it's an intriguing card. It just generates some sort of advantage. It does put them in your hand. The only thing is that even though the other cards like Goblin Leader, Goblin Princess, those cards can actually generate goblins, they're not coming out on the turn that this does for the most part, so this card's more than likely just gonna die, and then those other cards you'll have access to. I don't really know how to gauge this card. I really don't. I'm just gonna pass it to Exo.
What do you think, Exo? What do you think about this card?
First and foremost, what we have learned is that 3 play point 2/2 followers that draw you a card, essentially, are not bad. Okay, it's still value, you're still replacing itself, so it's not going to be just an overall bad card. The upside to this card, I feel like, is really good, especially because you get cards that will work with it. Now, of course, if you get the Goblin with it, you're probably a little unhappy, but if you get the Goblin Leader or the Goblin Princess, you're probably fine. You probably won't stay around for the Goblin Princess turn, unfortunately. That's the only one that kind of surprises me as to why they would give you a 5-drop along with a 3-drop, but it's a value card, would be awesome in Take 2. And if you could really fully utilize goblins, maybe it could be really good.
I think Take 2 is really the only place this card does fit. I think in Take 2 it'd be great. I just can't. For Constructed, I don't know. It's just a question mark.
Well, it is interesting because the line of text specifically says 1 play point followers, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a goblin.
Right.
And you could play it on another turn, on a later turn, and just flood the board with 1 play points, and then you start getting the value out of the rush. So there's a little bit of extra space there, but it is interesting to think about.
The breathing room is how good one play point followers get. Now, I feel like they're going to be more utility than power oriented because of what we're seeing in the new cards, right? Like 4 play points, deal 1 to everything, that kind of thing. So 1 play point followers might start to transition into 1/1s instead of 1/2s. If that's the case and they bring utility and then there's something you can do alongside of this Emperor, then that could be good. Like maybe you draw a card, you know, one of these Goblin cards, you play a 1-drop follower, and then you get some advantage out of it. It could be pretty good.
But I think that's exactly why I don't know how to evaluate it, because we don't know what new 1-drops there are. You know, we just don't. So I don't know how to evaluate this card. But it is cool. I love the picture.
Yeah. Goblin leader. He's the only goblin that is that seems to actually be working out, right? Because the that's weird. The actual goblins themselves, they just have huge heads. The goblin leader is a fatty. The goblin, interesting. This guy is a very different aesthetic of goblin. Huh.
Yes. I like the big nose. I like just the 1-drop goblin. I just like his nose is in your face. He's always up in your business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You could probably give the nose a slap and it'll, you know, do something hilarious. Let's take a look at some new Portalcraft cards and go through a review here with both Exo and Aya joining us. 0 cost Portalcraft Gold. It's called Biofabrication, and it says subtract 1 from the cost of an artifact card in your hand. Put 3 copies of that artifact card into your deck. Very interesting. What do you guys think for 0 play points?
I'm gonna take a word out of your book, Rainey, and say this card is sick.
Nice.
I think this card is nice. I think this card's great. Anything that costs 0 is obviously already good because you can do it as a tempo play. Not only that, it reduces the cost of a card in your hand while being free, so it lets you cheat essentially, which is really nice. Whenever you can do unfair things in the game state, you're probably doing something right. Not only that, it puts 3 copies of it into your deck, so now you can actually target the one that you want and tutor for it more readily.
Do you think that those copies that it puts into your deck are also reduced cost?
Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. It says in your hand, and then, well, actually, maybe it is because of the way it's worded.
Maybe.
It does word it that. It does word it the way it's
the way the lines are put makes it seem that way, huh?
And then put it into your deck. So
I want to say no, but maybe.
I think it's a possibility. Even if that isn't the case, I think this card is busted. Like, I think this card is insane. Can you imagine this with the Storm guy? If it actually does reduce the cost of the ones that get put into your deck, and then you do it on the Storm guy, play the Storm guy, and then you just got like a bunch of Storm cards in your. Oh my goodness.
It is. I mean, and thinking about that, right? When we were talking about how some of these artifacts, especially when you start looking at the Radiant artifact and the other ones, you have to get them by random, right? So this is probably one of the best ways to make sure you continue to get those after you draw. It kind of helps you avoid that random scenario and have more control over what you've then gotten out of that effect. So it is very interesting to look at.
The other thing that it does is it allows you to activate Resonance on a turn you wouldn't otherwise have it, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's an odd number and you do it for free. So it's a free Resonance activator as well as a... Yeah, this card's insane. Talk about a 3 of in Portalcraft. I think this is definitely one of them.
This is a card Gawain wishes it was.
Gawain, please! Hey, you know, I know how to fix Gawain. Side games. Make Gawain cost 0. I think that's a great idea.
0.
0 cost cards happen to be pretty good. Okay?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually like this card. This is really cool to see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one here. Flower Doll, 2 play point 1/2, and it evolves into 3/4, and it says, oh my god, that's a lot of words. It says, last word, if you have at least 4 cards in your hand, put a puppet into your hand. If you have 3 cards or less in your hand, put a puppet and a flower doll into your hand. And then I think it says the same thing on Evolve. So basically it helps your hand size, it refills your hand size with puppets and flower dolls if you are under a certain amount on its last word. So it's not a fanfare, it has to actually be destroyed here. Let's start out with Aya. What do you think?
I think that this card is very dynamic. I like the fact that it gives you something even if you have a large amount of cards in your hand. And if you don't, it gives you more of something that you get to have, because puppets are 0 and then a flower dolls are 2. So the puppets are 1/1 rush cards. I think this card is really cool.
I do think that there can be a lot of insane flexibility with kind of playing the flower doll out, and then there's a way to kind of, if you want to rush it into something and then have it die off, then you get the flower doll again, and you get the puppet, so you can play the puppet out and rush that into something, and it could cause for some interesting lines of play. Exo, what do you think?
I think this card's great. It's not a tutor card like we'd expect from this cost, right? 2 play point 1/2s generally search for your deck and they find something. This one does something completely different. This one actually just gives you cards in your hand, which is awesome. Not only that, it gives you 0 cost cards in your hand. And if you want to keep just controlling the early board state, or even later in the game, you can just toss those puppets out, keep playing flower dolls, keep controlling the board. Like, this card seems very high value to me. Of course, we don't know how great puppets are going to be at their end state, but even without that knowledge, I think this card is very high value. I think it's a great card.
Yeah, certainly a very interesting way to look at that. Currently, you know, and Mofu was talking a lot about puppets as well when he was on here. The thing that I'm wrestling in my head right now is really thinking about whether it is worth it, because I feel like a lot of times in Shadowverse, unless you're playing very directed combo, right, using your resources when you have moments of opportunity is the way that you want to approach playing the game. So I don't know if necessarily saving puppets is going to be the thing unless we do see something that is a very hard-hitting combo, maybe something of an OTK nature, right? But I do think that this is interesting to look at in the sense that it's one of the earliest that you can get a puppet. I think the other one that we saw was a 3-drop that gave you a puppet in hand. But that also sets up the scenario where you're really thinking about, well, all these cards that do give additional benefits to puppets, is that going to be something that really actually is playable? So, stuff to think about here. Let's move on to the next card. Icarus is going to be 2 play points, 2/2, evolves into 4/4. It says, Fanfare, put 2 ancient artifacts into your deck, and on evolve, put a random artifact card from your deck into your hand. So again, we see this effect where on play, you install the artifacts, and on evolve, you bring them to the hand. It seems to be a very popular thing for Portalcraft. Let's start with Exo here. What do you think?
So stat line's great, Evo line great. You get to draw a card when you Evo with it, so it makes me feel like it's kind of like Dwarven Alchemist, right? Instead of putting a sigil in your hand, it puts the artifacts into your deck, and then when you evolve, you get to pull one out. If you don't evolve this card, I don't know how good it is, because it doesn't necessarily give you any advantage right away. You know what I mean? It does help with resonance. Like, again, it can help trigger resonance on specific turns. It's not a bad card. I mean, it functions perfectly well if you want to put artifacts in your deck or activate resonance. When you evolve it, it gives you a card. It's not a bad card. It's not one of the most premier cards that I've seen so far, but it's probably one that you'll see in the deck for sure.
Do we remember what the ancient artifact is? Do we remember what the card text was for that particular artifact? I don't.
Wasn't ancient artifacts a type? I didn't think it was a specific card. I thought it was like the range of different cards.
Interesting. Huh.
I could be wrong.
Pretty sure card.
Well, I'd have to go back and research. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to.
Interesting. Yeah, because it would be pretty important, because I know Mofu mentioned that there's no way to get certain artifacts unless it's random, right? So it's good to identify which of these artifacts that you can actually choose to get and target. So the ancient artifact is going to be because
ancient artifact is the 1 play point 3/1 rush artifact.
I see. Okay. Because it is important to think about that, right? If you put a specific type of artifact into your deck and you build your deck around that, then you know what artifact you're pulling every time you have an effect like that, right? Which can change things. And so knowing this, right, if you haven't installed any other artifacts, on turn 4, if you're going second, you play this, you evolve it, you not only get that 4/4 rush, but now you have another 3 damage rush that you're guaranteed to get because it's the only artifact that exists.
So that makes me seem like it's new Levi, right? It has the potential to be. You can't go face with the 3 damage, but it's very good board clear. So actually, that turned this card from being meh to okay.
What's actually interesting too, now that I'm thinking about it, connecting some dots here. If you make that play, you know, you play it, you evolve it, and even if you don't swing with that artifact, playing it out gives you the 4/4 body and the 3/1. That also does make some case for like if you're getting tempoed out by some of these artifacts, because 3 damage is nothing to laugh at, right? If you leave that on, it's going to do a lot. That does give some context to like, oh, we want to board wipe all this 3 damage that's building up over these early turns. Hey, now those board wide 1 damage pings seem to start making a little more sense here. I don't know if that's necessarily convincing me, but that is something interesting, but to think about. So let's go to the last card for this particular segment here. Mechanized Servant. That actually kind of looks like Jita from Grand Blue. I don't know why. I don't know if you guys play Grand Fantasy or not, but let's not talk about that. Mechanized Servant. Portalcraft is going to be a bronze 2 play point 2/2. Evolves into 4/4. It says if Resonance is active for you, gain Rush. And as we have identified, interestingly enough, for players who go second, Resonance is naturally active for you on your second turn. So this is a catch-up card in many ways. You know, without having to spend evolves or anything like that, you can catch up essentially to your opponent by immediately removing what they played on their first turn. Or rather on their second turn, I suppose, if you're going second. But what do you think, Aya?
I think that in order for Portalcraft to be able to stave off, you know, those hyper-aggressive opponents, that this kind of card is very necessary. Because I haven't seen anything other than the 1 4-drop puppet card that does like 1 damage to everything. I haven't really seen anything that allows the class to like stave off like,
immediately board trade.
Right. This card actually allows them to do that if they're going second. And for that reason, I actually give 2 thumbs up to this card. I think this card is sweet.
2 thumbs up from Aya. What do you think, Exo?
Well, I mean, I've gotten really comfortable with playing Cthulhu. That's how you pronounce his name, right?
Cthulhu, I think. I don't know.
Cthulhu?
Yeah.
Something like that. In any case, two play point rush cards are just good for early game stuff. This one isn't as apparent. Like, you're not always going to have access to it. It does have 1 more defense than Cthulhu does, and it doesn't have an enhance effect. So it's kind of middling, but it's really good for a class if you need that extra, like Aya said, damage stave off in the early game. I think this will be a really good card if you're trying to play a slower deck.
It's, you know, how many other 2 play point 2/2 or that territory rush cards are there? I guess Kulan is just
he's literally the only one.
I think I put it into the same category of like Veteran Lancer, Unica. It's just one of those cards that can do something to be an anti-aggro card, and that's pretty much all it is. It's just Portalcraft's version of Veteran Lancer, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because
it's not as good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It is interesting to think about too, because on the turnaround on play point 3, for example, going first, you can play that and then maybe have another 1-drop to assist with it, and you still get that rush. I think, I mean, so far out of what we've seen, I don't see why you would not include it in your deck. You know what I mean? You just need, first of all, you need to fill out your curve. You don't lose stats for it, and you get this good upside. So, interesting. So those were the Portalcraft cards here. Very interesting stuff. I love looking at all these different things, and especially seeing how you guys think about it. It's very interesting to get all your thoughts. Let's move on with the show match, EU versus NA. The scoreline currently is 3-1. And let's see if EU can turn it around. Now, they have Dragoncraft and Swordcraft left, right? North America has Forestcraft and Havencraft left. So I wonder how these matchups are going to align. I wonder if EU also brought OTK New. I have to think about that. What did Europe bring? The players that are going to be fighting is going to be Fatina versus Vetu. So you can guarantee it's some kind of combo. Ooh. So that makes me think that it probably is Dragon New or something like that. Fatina versus Vetu. I'd be really interested to see what Vetu brings to this. I think maybe Neutral Forest. Like, we've seen him play that quite a bit. But
he might be the Haven player.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's true.
You're right. I think you're right. So Haven versus Dragoncraft. Let's see if that's the case. I think they're loading into the game right now. I kind of want EU to tie this up, because I just like the idea that everybody's going to leave this show feeling unsatisfied and having no, no clarity on what is the difference between you and me.
I'm better. No, I'm better.
Oh no, it is Forest and Dragon. There it is.
I'm so disappointed, V2. V2. we had an understanding, okay? Like, we talked before the cast, we really didn't. And
let's see how this goes with them.
So, okay, are we thinking this is going to be a PTP deck? Are we thinking this is going to be an aggro deck? It can't be an aggro deck, right? It's too straightforward.
This is absolutely aggro.
Absolutely aggro. Okay, absolutely. Exactly. You're wrong. Look at that White Wolf right there. That is not an aggro card.
Striking out left and right, man. V2, I thought we talked about this. You were going to play aggro Forest. Oh, wait. That's not it. You're supposed to play Haven. And none of what I'm saying is right. Sheesh.
It's okay, man. That's what show matches are for. They're for fun. What do you think he's White Wolfing into is the question.
You know what? I'm going to just throw something out there. Rose Queen.
Okay. Ooh. You know what? Elf Song, Wood of Brambles. It could be Rose Queen.
Rose Queen.
And for those of you out there who don't know what Rose Queen is, because I'm sure some of you don't, it is a follower that turns all of the fairies in your hand into Thorn Bursts, which are 2 play point, deal 3 damage spells. Pretty solid.
Okay. Yes. Now, V2, I will forgive you if there is a Rose Queen in that deck.
If it's Homecoming, I'm gonna get real bored real fast. Okay.
I'm gonna be very upset. Okay. I'm very disappointed. Revoke his WGP invite. All right. He just not. No, he's not allowed to have it. Can't go anymore. You didn't play Rose Queen. Ugh.
Saddening. Really. Well, he's got a lot of card draw. Okay, so he is aiming to keep a lot of these fairies in hand and also control the board. He's even playing Elven Princess Mage. So, building up a lot of fairies in hand. This definitely hints to Rose Queen. Definitely.
Please. I think that's the only thing I'm going to say.
Aggro.
I think that... well, actually, the aggro plan is very strong against that deck, for sure. Against the OTK. But Fatina does have a breath. It doesn't clear everything.
Ooh, drew his second Altered Fate. Not what you want to see when you're playing OTK Dragon. You never want to see those in duplicate in your hand.
No, you don't. You definitely don't. Because there's just one less Altered Fate for you to draw into.
That's right. That means the OTK combo gets that much more tricky.
Yeah.
Now,
and if he draws another
watching... If you want to full Altered Fate combo and you're just relying on 1 Altered Fate, the most damage you can deal is with 3 Dragon Newts and 1 Altered Fate to deal 15 damage. That's the most you can get if you're not trying to OTK with it. So, it could get rough.
I am having a very difficult time seeing how Fatina will be navigating from this point forward. He doesn't really have a board clear. He can trade with the Dragoon Scythe or use the Blazing Breath to clear out the 4-2, but and just
didn't even Blazing Breath, just like
hey, it is a Rose Queen.
It is a Rose Queen. Perfect.
Yes. Okay.
We're not wrong about everything. Okay.
Okay. So I'm 1 for 90 today. Great.
We'll take it.
Okay. I'll take it, man. 1. That's 1 more than it was.
So I think what this plan is, the reason he kept that Blazing Breath is so he could have full 9 cards next turn to try to OTK here, because that's his only option.
Oh. I hope he
Ooh, that would have been good a couple turns ago.
Yeah,
but
not so good right
now. Yeah.
Yeah, not so good now, and then he wouldn't have the OTK.
All right, here we go. Does he draw it? None of those cards look like Altered Fate to me.
Nope, with.
That's a sad time right there. But NA showing its dominance.
What I think is funny is you saw V2 throw his hands up because he really wanted to play that Rose Queen. I'm pretty sure he was. Hey,
don't concede.
You know, Tempo Forest is pretty good. You know, I think Elf Song has been such a good card for Forest Craft. Elf Song has really, I think, put that whole token fairy strategy, giving it like a full circle.
Well, let's not discount Wood of Brambles, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
both of them
Wood of-
combined,
okay.
sure.
combination.
Yes, Wood of Brambles at the top of the list. Elf Songs just right under it.
Yeah.
Those two cards together, that's what makes a dream work right there.
That's right.
That greater than the whole, the sum of the two parts. All right, that means that Europe takes another loss. That means this can only end in 4-2. I guess North America's better. Sorry, Europe.
Obviously.
The age-old question is answered. Feels pretty good to be American today.
Okay, I love you too, EU. I love you too. I'm just a filthy casual anyway. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're talking about. I have, this entire show has just been just a confusing experience. Let's take a look at a new card. There's, I believe this is the last card that we get to reveal. It's going to be, ooh, oh my God. This card is just savage. What? Oh my God! It's just a 3 play point storm card. This is
that
just
neutral?
I believe this is Bloodcraft.
Okay.
There's no way that could be neutral. I mean,
Everybody's gonna
there's
take
no
it.
way this is neutral. Oh my God.
3
First of
play
all,
points. I mean, you're curving
fantastic
out.
Card art. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's super cool.
This probably, I can't wait to see this card animated. This is probably the best art. The art is amazing, and this is the #1 card on my list to see animated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You're right. The animated version is gonna be sick on this one. I mean, look at just all that red and the lightning fire effects. That's gonna be so cool. Can we talk about the curve a little bit?
I mean, do we even need to say anything about Novice Trooper?
Okay.
Now,
First,
the funny thing is, what we really should talk about is, does Blood need Novice Trooper? Okay, I don't. This card scares me.
Well. They are losing Blood Wolf.
Oh, is that true? That's
Yes.
right. The rotation is happening.
So it's one more play point, and it is Novice Trooper, but it's not Storm 1-2. So I think they do. If Blood's gonna play an aggressive game, they definitely need this card. But do we need to talk about Storm? No, because Storm is good. Okay, cards that have Storm or give Storm are good.
So,
all right, I don't think anybody can argue that.
So the interesting discussion now that's flowing around in my head is, if this is indeed a Blood Wolf replacement, then what I'm now thinking about is you lose, which is, I think, a little more of a double-edged sword than anything, the ability to do 2 damage to yourself, right? That's gone.
Yes.
The stat line is a little bit improved. It's not a 2-1 anymore. It's a 2-2, and it's a little bit slower as well, coming out on play point 3, which are all kind of major, factors to consider. Also, this means, right, if we're thinking about Caribou stuff, you could play technically, right, 3 Blood Wolves within a span of 6 play points. You can only play 2 of these, right, which is actually a significant difference. Once you're capping out your play points with Caribou, if that's still a thing, you really have to consider what these small play point differences mean.
Well, this goes a lot to say about slowing the game down. So I feel like what it feels like right now is that Cygames is transitioning the game to a little bit slower with cards that we're already used to. And then once we're used to the slower game state, then they're just going to start piling on all of these new things. Like right now, they're just helping us transition, playing with the same cards, and then it's just, everything's going to hit the fan. Everything that we knew is going to be out the window, and all of these new strategies are going to come to light. So I like the direction. I like the way they're babying us through the transition. It's very nice.
So I like being coddled. Yes, please.
That's right. Yes. Wrap me up in a blanket. Hold me tight. Tell me everything's going to be okay.
Awesome. Any last thoughts about that card? Or?
Yeah, and then it's more so to the line of as a Vengeance Blood player, but I can't get this off of Dark Airjammer.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm sad now.
That's right.
I love pulling double Blood Wolves off of Airjammer. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Make Airjammer bad.
Make Airjammer bad. Down with the Airjammer.
That's my
gosh. Hey, we have, moving away from this, an interview with the one and only Akamaru Red. And he had a huge Airjammer play, I think, yesterday, and took a win off of it. But Akamaru Red, are you on the line? Can you hear me? What does that say?
Hello.
What is that? What's
I'm in
happening?
a good mood. It's my soccer team.
Ooh.
They won today, so we are first place.
First place in
Yay,
what?
I'm in a good mood. No, National League, soccer league.
Oh, awesome! Hey, congratulations! I definitely know a lot about sports ball, but thank you, thank you very much for sharing that. Is soccer something that's like a very big? I guess it's part of your culture, right? Tell me a little bit more about the team.
It's we haven't been champions for 16 years.
Oh my
we
God!
We are a very big sports team. We have like 70 sports. It was also the first Portuguese team to join esports. We have a FIFA team, and they're working on a League of Legends team as well, Counter-Strike as well. So they're pushing
awesome.
Esports.
Wow! Yeah, and so their first win in 16 years, and
we haven't been champions yet. We are first place at them.
So got it. Awesome, and they're supporting esports. That's great. What if people want to search and learn more about this team? What do they kind of search for here?
Sporting Clube de Portugal.
Sporting.
It means Portugal. It means Sporting Portugal Club.
Sporting Portugal Club.
Clube. Yeah. Sporting SCP. Sporting Clube de Portugal.
SCP. Wow. So definitely go check that out, guys. Anybody who's supporting esports is great. And we have a big fan of them. Akamaru Red, you are a World Grand Prix invitee and also just freshly second place finisher in the current season in Starforged Legends. Now, I'm sure that you were looking for the first place finish. I think it's still an incredible task for you to take second here. How are you feeling right now? How do you feel about your World Grand Prix preparation? I know you're a player who takes their preparation very, very seriously. Where's your headspace at?
I'm thinking about Japan. I haven't practiced too much at all this season. I think you could tell that from week to week, I was performing worse and worse, and I kept being repetitive because I didn't know new decks because I didn't have a lot of time. So I kept playing the same comfortable lists. As Exo pointed perfectly, you could definitely tell what I was going to play. So this season, I didn't prepare too much, but I got far. I was really surprised that I got 4. I expected to get down to losers on the first game, and I did. And then it was amazing to get out of the gauntlet. It was super stressful to play around. I played around 18 damage for like 10 turns.
Gosh.
Something I don't want my worst enemy to have to face.
18 damage for 10 turns. That sounds incredibly scary. But you played some very, very, very good games against Fatina yesterday. What are some of the things, has that schedule freed up for you? Do you find that you have more time to prepare for Japan now? Are you feeling comfortable? It's happening in just a few days.
My practice for Japan is going to be the 13-hour flight I have to do. I also have to wait 2 hours, I think, or 1 hour in Swiss for my flight.
That's right.
I have to fly from Portugal to Swiss and then to Japan. So that will be my practice, 13 or 14 hours of practice.
Nice.
And then some take-twos when I get to Japan with the boys, if they're up to it. I'm very comfortable with take-two. I'm like Envy. I've been playing take-two ever since I started the game. I really like to play take-two. I'm actually a better take-two player than a constructive player. So
that's
I got excited when I saw that. Yeah.
Take-two is definitely an interesting part. That element of deck building and understanding the format is definitely a skill set. I asked Envy for her recommendations here, but I'll ask you the same question. What is your what do you think are the big points, like either the biggest key point or a few key points you think about Take-Two that you put as a rule of thumb for yourself whenever you're going into a game?
Yeah, so the main 3 points are pick 2-for-1s, pick 2-for-1 cards like Big Knuckle Bodyguard, Fenrir. Notice that all the cards I'm saying are Bloodcraft, so like pick all the 2-for-1s. Second point is pick removal. Put a heavy
priority
importance. Yeah, priority in removal, because once you go out of evos, you have no way to answer or react, so you want the removals. And third, get the bombs, what we call the bombs, like the like the Barbarossas, the Bahamut, even Aegis can sometimes win a lot of games. So
Interesting. I'm gonna have to start practicing some Take Two myself, and getting used to that. So, we've been talking about some new cards, some new Portalcraft stuff. I don't know if you've been following along at all, but have you been looking at some new Portalcraft cards and taking a look at the class mechanics at all?
Absolutely. The first class I started playing when I started playing Shadowverse was PTP Forest. Now I can play PTP Forest with Better Fairies. So I'm all in for
Better
that.
Fairies.
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Unlimited, and I'm going to start playing PTP Puppet Portalcraft. Easy.
That would be fantastic to watch. Make sure you stream those games, by the way. Also, there's a few questions that I have now. Obviously, the finger guns, right? You've got the finger guns. That's in your identity. So I see you got some sleek. You take care of your hands, which is very important for you. Where did you get those gloves? What are they all about?
It's from my mom. My hands were frozen, and I'm like, my hands are freezing. It's very cold in Portugal, and she's like, use my gloves. These are women's gloves, by the way. This is my mom's. I don't have gloves. So
they're imbued with the heart and the emotion of your mother. So
yes,
that's hey, also important. Take that with you to Japan. So it's gonna be cold in Japan for one. Also, if you play on stage and once, the cameras and the lights and the crowd and all of that gets crazy, I don't know if you get nervous, but sometimes you get cold hands. Make sure you bring your gloves, have little hand warmers. I think that's very useful, and that'll be really good advice. And you'll have the support of your family behind you while you wear those gloves. So interesting to know, good to know. I have a kind of final question for you. What are you most looking forward to doing in Japan when you head there?
Eating sushi, drinking tea.
Eating sushi and drinking tea. Well, let's definitely make sure we have some time to do that.
Also, I wanna add something. Some Japanese players have been following me on Twitter and tweeting.
Oh yeah, I meant to ask you about that.
Apparently, yeah. So apparently, someone on Japan posted our profile pictures, and someone said that if I am not successful at Shadowverse, I should be a Hollywood star. So all that tweet at like 200 likes or something. So everyone knew my name, and I got someone that recognized my name. He was playing against me today. It was actually my brother, and he sent me a tweet. I played against you. Thank you so much, and good luck in the world. So I'm like, people are thanking me for playing against him.
I actually saw that. There was a whole comment thread about your picture, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, he looks so scary. Japan's done." He's like, his fighting pose is too scary. That was, to be fair, your picture is quite incredible. I don't know where you learned to pose like that. I don't know if you fight people on your off time, but please don't punch me. That would be very appreciated. Akamar Red, always a pleasure to talk to you. And any last things that you want to say before we kind of push the show forward?
Yeah, I want to give a special note to Mr. Bottles and all you guys. I want you to pay attention to my deck, and the main focus of my deck is one specific card. You'll recognize it immediately, and as soon as I summon that card, I'll be doing something special. So hopefully I'll draw that card. I will mulligan for it. Hopefully I will summon it, and I'm going to do something special. Also, big shout outs to Kirako and Rias. They are big supporters of what I do. They hang on our Discord, and they were the ones that combined together and made this deck. I call this deck Zeal Exchange Kyorias.
I can't wait to see what it is. I have no idea what the reference is, but thank you so much for the time. Red. Looking forward to seeing the game between Bottles here. That's the last match. Some very interesting stuff. Did you guys actually see all that stuff on Twitter with Akamaru Red? Did you see those tweets? It's incredible, actually. The Japanese players are like looking through and seeing all these profile photos. I think it's great. It's fantastic. I can't wait for them to go out there and see if they actually get to meet some of these people. Hey, before we get to the last show match, let's look at the last set of Portalcraft cards here that we're going to review and get some of your guys' thoughts. Deus Ex Machina. Now this is one, I think this is the first Portalcraft Legendary that was revealed. It's got a lot of words. It's a 6 play point 4/5. Evolves into a 6/7, and it says, fanfare, give your leader the following effects. Whenever you play an artifact card, recover 1 play point. At the end of your turn, if Resonance is active for you, discard your hand and draw 6 cards. These effects are not stackable and last for the rest of the match. Ai Senpai. please.
You know, when I first saw this card, I didn't know what context to put it in because we hadn't seen enough of the Portalcraft cards. But now that we've seen a lot of the Portalcraft cards, I'm convinced that this card is absurd. Like, I actually think that this card's really good. Being able to recover a play point after playing an artifact, and then you use that 0 cost, I think it's biofabrication. And I mean, I'm just imagining that, like, in my head with like you being able to reduce cost of your artifacts, play this card, play those cheaper artifacts, recover play points for that, and then just be able to play more cards. I think this is crazy.
It is interesting to think about. What was it? Ancient artifact, the 1 play point, 3/1 rush. If you biofabrication and make it 0, you profit 1 play point for playing it.
Yeah.
It's insane. What do you think, Exo?
My thoughts exactly. This card is absurd. Now, that is to say, we don't know how frequently we can get artifacts into our hands yet. We know a small amount, but the higher and higher that you, or the more and more artifacts that you can get into your hand, the more and more this card gets good. And even without that, when you discard that, or when you discount that entire half of the effect, if Resonance is active for you, discard your hand and draw 6 cards. That effect by itself, outside of the other half of the card, is absurd. Are you kidding me? Empty your hand, Resonance. Whoop! It's Daria, except you don't need to do any setup for it. It's just part of your plan.
Right.
So, this card will see play.
You can also control that Daria effect as well, purposely putting yourself outside of Resonance and then ending your turn. And so you have control whether you want to mill your hand or not. Of course, that is the first thing that a lot of people notice is like, oh my god, you better make something happen real quick because you're going to deck out.
And you only need one of it because it gives your leader the following effect. So every single turn, you essentially can just Daria on command if you want to. And it's better than Daria in some cases because you get extra cards, but worse, obviously, because they don't get reduced, yada yada. But still, the value is absolutely insane.
The card advantage could be through the roof. Could be. Could be.
Right.
Could be. So, very interesting, legendary. Let's move on. Let's move on here. Morton, they just gave him a name. They just called him, you're Morton now. Morton the Manipulator. Did it have to be an alliteration as well? Is this guy? Morton.
I love it.
I'm Tim the Enchanter. Morton the Manipulator. 4 play point, 3/3. Evolves into a 3/3. I think this is the first card that we've seen that doesn't actually gain stats on these evolve out of all the Portalcraft cards, so this better be real interesting. Evolve. Banish an enemy follower that costs 2 play points or less, and then put a copy of that follower into play as an allied follower? Interesting. So, this is on an important Evo turn. It gives you back tempo. Exo, I can see you thinking about this. What are your thoughts?
I think it's really good on the draw to use your Evo point, but again, you have to manage this with the other Evo plays you're going to have in your deck, because this is not good without an Evo point, right? This is just a 4 play point, 3/3, not something that you're actually going to want to play. So if this is your target, then in an aggressive meta, this card could be ridiculous, because you still get the stats back essentially, it's just on a different body, right? So you take out one of their small followers, you get to keep your 3/3, and then you get to get theirs, so you get your stats somehow. It's not effective at taking out big followers, though, so even though it's an Evo target, not always are you going to be able to do something with it. So I'd say this is very meta-dependent. If you're going really anti-aggro, this card's really great. If this is more of a slower, controlling, mid-rangey type of format, probably not a card you want in your deck.
Interesting, a very interesting card. I believe this is one of the few cards, I don't know if there's any that take cards from your opponent's side and put them onto yours, right, so far in Shadowverse?
This is the first.
What do you think, Aya?
I think the picture's really cool, and it's another one of those cards I want to see animated, but I don't know if this card is good. I mean, it's cool that they're incorporating cards that can take your opponent's stuff. Actually, that's one of my favorite mechanics in basically any game. But I just don't know how good it is. Being able to get rid of your opponent's 2 play point follower and then taking it, I mean, that could be a pretty big tempo swing in, I guess, again, tempo matchups. But otherwise, I don't know. Like, this card, it just seems like it would be more dead than not. And that's what worries me about it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely niche and tech specifically for certain matchups. It does seem like one of those cards that you're like, okay, I'm not going to play this, but in this particular case, because it does avoid last word effects, right? Which can be nice in certain scenarios, and it provides you that benefit as well. But I think you guys have a good read on it, right? It does seem like it's a little bit more of a specific scenario kind of thing.
It is the banish card, right? For the set, it's just how relevant is a 2 play point banish going to be, essentially? Like, how good are those last words cards going to be after the rotations hit and stuff like that? But if they are really good and you have to be playing around a lot with this early game stuff, then it can be good. But again, later in the game, even if it's supposed to be good, it could just fall off because, I mean, we're talking turn 7, turn 8. You play this, you want to evo it to kill a big follower. That's never going to happen. Stuff like that. So it's very tech specific.
It's also, there are a lot of effects in Portalcraft that we've already seen that bring out artifacts. Your evolution orbs are resources to bring out artifacts. So I don't know if you want to be spending it on this necessarily. So
Exactly. I don't think I want to spend it on this card.
So we'll see. Let's move on here. Morton then Manipulator. Goodbye. All right. Magisteel Lion. Wow. What? Is that a lion robot winged angel thing?
All right, okay. Take another look.
More cool art.
Yeah.
I think Analyzing Artifacts is the one where you play it, draw a card.
I believe so, yes. I think Analyzing Artifacts are the, what was it, 2/1s? I don't remember what their stat line was, but I believe they're draw a card on last word, I think is what it was. Magisteel Lion is a 2/2, evolves into 4/4, and it just gives you 2 of those artifacts, and there's no way to bring them out of your deck, so it just kind of installs the artifacts in your deck. What do you think, Aya?
I think anything that doesn't, I don't know, it's appropriately statted for 2 play point 2/2, but again, it's another one of those cards I'm not entirely sure about. The fact that it's not like the other ones where you can like evolve it and get the card or anything like that. It's just you put them in your deck. I mean, this seems like it'd be better for setting up Resonance turn than actually just playing it on I don't know.
What do you think, Exo?
I think what we're going to see is, so when I put this in terms of Deus Ex Machina, right? Like you're drawing up to 6 cards every single turn. How are you going to do that without decking out, right? If you have it in your mind that there is this huge setup turn, whether it be turn 6, 7, 8, beyond, whatever it might be, where you just start flooding every single turn with all these artifacts that you've added to your deck, right? And you gain your play points back every single time you play it, so you can literally just play out your hand every single time you draw it once you're into the end game. I feel like if that deck gets put together properly, cards like this are going to be exactly what you need for, right? It's the only way to get more artifacts in your deck, so you just play the max value out of them. So I feel like if you can put a combo deck together that utilizes all the artifacts in Deus Ex Machina, this card is a staple in that deck. Outside of that, I don't really think you want to be flooding your deck with 1 play point 2/1s. But in the case of Deus Ex Machina, I think this is a key component.
Interesting. And it also is interesting to think about, and we probably should have talked about this when we were looking at the artifacts. Last word draw a card effects on Portalcraft can be a double-edged sword in my mind, right? Where you can deactivate their resonance on your turn, right? Because you swing into it, they draw a card, they become an odd number now, and then things change, right? So interesting to think about. Let's look at the next one. Mech Wing Swordsman. Ooh, that's kind of cool. This is the last one in the set. 2 play point 2/2 evolves into 4/4. We're getting into the early drops here. And it says, Fanfare, randomly put 2 of the following cards into your deck, analyzing Ancient, Mystic, and Radiant artifacts. So, again, these are the 4 that we saw earlier on in the day, and it's one of the ways that you can pool that incredible Storm artifact that we were talking about. What do you think, Aya?
Okay, so before I actually give judgment on this card does put in one of each of them, right? Like,
yeah, that was a question that we had, whether it would be unique, like it couldn't pick the same one and it's 2 out of the 4, or if it's just 2 of them, it could be 2 analyzing artifacts or 2 radiant artifacts. Not really sure. Envy seems pretty convinced that it is unique because I think she was looking, I forgot which other card she was relating it to. But
if it is unique, then I really like this card. If it's not unique, then I'm a bit iffy. Again, still a 2 play point 2/2, but I would like it if it wasn't unique. So I think if it wasn't, I'm sorry, if it was unique. I'm confusing myself. So yeah, if it was unique, I think that this would be a really cool card. Otherwise, I don't know. It's like,
what do you think, Exo?
I think the same thing as last card. It's just a setup card for the Deus Ex Machina endgame. I don't think it really matters. Like, just like the last card, it doesn't really matter in a regular game state, like that you just play this and you're adding random cards to your deck. That doesn't do anything, right? It might help you break through resonance on a turn that you might not otherwise have it, and things like that, but those are small advantages. The real power, I feel like, is the engine that these cards are building up to Deus Ex Machina. So I feel like in that deck, it's great, because I even like it if it will put 2 Radiant artifacts in your deck, you know, or 2 Mystic artifacts or something like that. I would be fine with it putting 2 of the same ones if they're the powerful ones. Just because you want to draw into those in the later game anyway. The more Storm cards you get off of the Deus Ex Machina, like, endgame, I feel like the better. Especially because you get the play points back, right?
Yep.
well,
So,
I
and
think
especially if you reduce their cost.
I like it if I at least had a chance to get those other cards. Like if I'm getting both of the same card, then it's lowering my chance to get at least one of the other card. Like,
That's
so if I'm
true.
trying to get this Storm card, or at least try to get it into the deck, I would think that it being unique, being able to, in a way, selectively or give you more of a chance to get that into your deck would be better. My opinion.
Interesting. I think so. Currently, my thoughts after looking at a lot of these cards and really looking at things in the context of Deus Ex Machina, it really does seem to me that sometimes I think that the favorable outcome is that you choose the random ones that give you the upside of having the Radiant ones. That's just a gut feeling. Just putting value onto the Radiant artifacts, right? So I think you're... And then the flip side to that is any kind of adding artifacts to your deck is going to be useful, because having the ability to have however many cards by the end of it, right? Like, let's say in the best case scenario, you have all 3 of the 2-drop that we saw and 3 of this one that we just saw, and you play them all out, right? That means you've added, what, 12 cards to your deck, right? And so that's 2 extra cycles of Deus Ex Machina you could potentially go through without decking out.
And then you couple that with biofabrication on the turns after Deus Ex
Which
Machina
are
comes
adding
out.
3 extra copies.
Yeah.
Right, and you can just start going off. It's like, it feels like a really crazy endgame engine. That's probably where I'm going to start with Portal Craft now that I've seen all these cards.
So to me, at the end of the day, I think they will still be included into the deck regardless, just because you actually don't really care. All of those artifacts can have that upside for you, especially with Deus Ex Machina. Now, the only caveat is, if you fill your deck up with all these artifacts too early, and that clogs up your draw, right? And then you never get your Deus Ex Machina because you're just seeing analyzing artifact, you know, and whatever. And it's like, okay, well, I can't play the game, you know?
Right.
Which is, I think, the flip side to that. So
maybe Cygames will put out an announcement on where those cards go. Maybe they go to the bottom of your deck. We don't know. Well, it says put random ones into your deck.
Into the deck. So it doesn't say where. You don't know where they
it doesn't say where.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
you can go anywhere.
Lots of things to think about. We could talk for ages about all this stuff and speculate all day long, but very exciting stuff. Really glad. Thanks for going through all those cards with us. We have one last show match in the EU versus NA fight here. Will Akamaru Red be able to best Botols? We'll see. I wonder if he's playing his Tier 0 Haven deck here.
I hope so.
I hope so. I liked that one. That one was awesome.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Akamaru Red versus Bottles. This is a match that we've not been able to see, and I think EU versus NA has brought in a lot of very unique matchups. I like seeing all these guys butt heads, but the best score that EU can get is going to be 2 wins here against the 4 that North America has, or will have if they, win. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. North America could end 5-1, and that would be just egg in the face of Europe. Just absolute destruction. And I hope that's not the outcome, but we'll see. We'll see here. What have you guys liked about some of the design decisions that Cygames seems to be heading towards here? I know we talked about the slower pace of the game. Where do you think the upside is in terms of pushing that late game farther up? I mentioned to Envy, or I can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys, but I was talking about how we haven't actually seen a lot of cards that are the 1 play point, 2 play point, 3 play point curves.
Right.
We haven't seen a card that is like, like a 5 play point. We haven't seen something similar to an Albert, only in the artifact, right, in that sense, but it's not like a mainstay card that you play. The early curve seems to be very sparse so far. What are your thoughts? Let's start with Exo.
Well, I think it's moving in a super healthy direction if their aim is for esports, very specifically, because the fast-paced nature of the game, they've always stated it was for mobile gaming. It was for ease of access, just fast-paced games, all this kind of stuff. If they slow the game down, give players more options, I feel like it opens it up to this whole new world of competitive play that I think would be awesome for the game as far as it, you know, regards to us type of thing. So I think it's great. I think it's wonderful.
What do you think, Aya?
I think it's great. Introducing new things to a game like Shadowverse is amazing. And Portalcraft actually introduces an entirely new design space, not just because it's a new class, but it adds something to the game as a whole. And that is deck manipulation. So are we going to see something like that for other classes? Maybe not necessarily in the way that Portalcraft does it, but are we going to see more of that? I don't know. But that to me is very interesting. And I agree with EXO on it's great for esports to slow the game down just a little bit. Not necessarily to the point where it's a crawl. Everyone's playing Control Blood. You know, it's not necessarily to that. But definitely slowing the game down, I think, is great as a whole for the game and for esports.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting. I like the fact that they're interacting more with play points. They're interacting more with the cards in deck, cards in hand, and also kind of figuring out ways to play the random effects a little more in a tasteful manner, right? I think one of the things about Shadowverse is that random effects are very sparse, just in general, or only come in one form. But I do think kind of looking at the game of like, okay, how can we provide a set of options that you can choose or that you get, you know, randomly out of one of these options, and then figure out ways to make each of them have their slight benefit or deficit here. So I think that's really interesting in that sense.
I really feel like you're going to feel like a raid boss when you play Portalcraft 2. You're literally going to be like, all right, Portal, Army. Next turn, Portal, Army. Next turn, Portal, Army. You know what I mean? You're just like drawing cards and just playing out your hand every single time. I think the flavor fits exactly. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if a scenario, a lot of people were talking about mill decks, right? Of like outlasting your opponent or like forcing your opponent to draw or something like that.
I hope that never happens. I hope that never happens.
I've seen it in other games.
Mill is not something I want to see in Shadowverse.
It's not fun.
I think just the idea that you're taking away options for your opponent, and really you're not playing into their options as much, right? You're just playing against the cards that they have.
Well, how mill decks work, in my experience, has only been in two ways. One, there's an effect that continuously mills your opponent while you try to stay alive, meaning you don't actually do anything. You're not trying to damage your opponent, you're just trying to remove their board and then just outlast and mill them with a specific effect. The other way is to literally not even have a mill effect and just play cards that blank everything your opponent does for the entirety of the game without an extra effect that pushes forward. Talk about Control Blood. That would be way worse, okay? Because not only are they not doing anything, they're not committing anything to the board. They're not like doing anything specific that is fun or interesting to watch. Like, no, keep mill away from this game.
I just want to point out that I was that player. Okay, like the one who was.
I've been there. I've been there before. Okay, it's fun sometimes, but not in this game. Keep it away.
I'm talking to criminals here. I'm talking to criminals. Somebody call the authority. Show these people out of the room. I don't want to associate with them. I don't know them. I've never really spoken to them. This is the first time I've seen them. I'm not associated with these people. Just an update on the North America vs. EU. Looks like we have a slight technical difficulty. We're trying to get the players set and ready to go. And once we do, we'll be able to launch that match and have it on its way. But until then, you're just going to have to sit tight and deal with this filthy casual and Aya Senpai. And and us rambling about different things.
That's right. Feel the neck beard as it, you know, caresses you and envelops your entire body.
Oh, that's disgusting. Please. I wish I would never have to experience that. Hard pass. Hard pass on that. No, thank you. No, thank you. Cool. What are some of the cards that we saw, I think, when MV and Mofu were on? Do you guys have any thoughts about kind of Mofu's feelings about puppets and kind of the way that he was talking about them in terms of holding those resources and choosing when to unload? What do you guys think about that in terms of the pacing and how you see that playing out? Aya, do you have any thoughts?
I think that it's telling us a lot about Mofu. I think Mofu deep down really wants to be a puppet master.
Yeah.
And that this kind of lets him do it. So I think that's the case.
Yeah, I
Big
think he's a
win
little
for
bit
Mofu.
insane. I
Yeah,
think there's a little
he
bit.
I think he may be a little crazy.
That's why
I
he
think-
was, you know, that's why during the mid-season, during the charity event, Mofu was, you know, he was actually just controlling the skeleton. I mean, we all know
Oh yeah!
we entertained
Support
him.
cannon!
Oh,
Versus
boy.
Aether of the White Wings. This is the matchup right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is it.
This is it. Support cannon. I'm a happy man. Okay, I'm a happy man. We're
Aether of
ending
the White
off-
Wing. I'm a happy man. Let's go.
Yeah, you know, we're both just happy. Okay, this is the happy occasion. We got some support cannon versus Aether of the White Wing, and Bottles looking like he is just going to mess something up. Okay, great. I love that picture of him, by the way.
Yeah, this is a perfect picture of Bottles. That's probably the technical difficulty. They probably couldn't have gotten him on camera, but that's okay. His picture is a perfect replacement.
Yes, I actually Bottles for season 4, and if you're coming back to the season 4, I want to see you on camera the entire time in that face and pose.
Yeah, very much like underwear, except with the pose on the face. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly, 100%.
Wait, is that Queen of the Dread Sea?
That is Queen of the Dread. What is he playing? You know what?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna sit back and watch the show, man. Like, but there is one thing we do know. We know for a fact that Akamari Red is definitely gonna get to play the support can.
Oh, 100%. He's going to have plenty of time. And there's not really a good response to it either. However, we have seen how powerful Heresy's avatar can be in the late game, especially with things like Guardian Sun. And March Hare's Tea Time, that seems like a pretty sweet play.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Akamari Red, he looks pumped, man. He looks like, yo, I can't wait to play the support cannon. You know what I think he's going to do? I think every time the support cannon fires, he's going to do the finger gun.
Probably.
I think
That's probably why he played this deck.
I think that's what he's
actually
going to
a
do.
perfect call. That's a perfect call. He's getting his fingers ready for the finger guns. That's what he's doing. He pretends like he's cold, but he just needs to make sure that his hands are super warm and ready for these support cannon finger guns.
I respect it, man. I respect
Yeah, you can now respect it.
it. Right. Finger guns with the. Oh, yeah, he's even doing it. He's getting them ready. I love it.
He's warming up. Actually
I love
warming
it.
up with it. This is awesome.
Dude, old man, old woman. I love that card.
Card's
I
good.
love that card.
Seems kind of weird in this deck, but it's gonna do some work here.
I love this card. Okay, for the people who don't know what old man, old woman does, okay, it can attack twice. All right, and when you evolve it, it gains Bane. So it can attack twice and Bane. So
And it
just
only
kill
gets
whatever.
+1/+1 in stats, or does it get any stats?
It gets +1/+1 in stats, I believe.
That's what I thought. Yeah, +1/+1. It's not a commander though. So
No, it is
interesting
not.
choice.
Well,
More
it's,
memes.
It's
Can't hate.
Well, I think that the card is criminally underrated.
Absolutely. Especially
and
against a board like this. This is like perfect board for it.
Yes, it's perfect. It's definitely perfect. He can play it next turn, and I think he may actually want to do it. No, he can't leave this up. He definitely has to play the old man.
You can't support cannon this turn.
Yeah.
Now, it could also be a nod to his parents. You know, he's a very, parent or oh, he's doing it anyway.
Oh
he's
my
bringing
goodness.
it in like an anime
He says,
character.
"You know
My
what?
support cannon. I'm ready to go.
He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Again.
Bring it on. This
Love
is
it, man.
ridiculous.
Yes.
But yeah, he's a
okay,
very
so-
parent-focused guy. So maybe old man and old woman is just a nod to his parents. He's got to add him in his deck.
You know what? I respect that greatly.
That's
I
right.
respect that.
Respect your parents, folks. Okay.
Definitely. Now, however, I'm very interested to know how Akamari Red's going to get himself out of the situation, because he didn't take. I guess he just wasn't trying to win. He just said, you know what, man? I want to play support cannon. I want.
I mean, I highly respect that. Remember when we saw the charity event and there was a certain someone who never played his support cannon? I was very sad about that.
We won't say his name.
Yeah, we won't.
We won't
He's a
say
good
his
guy.
name.
It's just he didn't play support cannon and it made us feel really bad.
I was really sad about that.
Yeah.
I was really sad. I think a tear's coming to my eye right now from how sad I was. That support
There they
cannon
are.
Oh, there it is! Akamari Red.
It won't be long now.
You're the best, man. You're the best.
Oh, I found a rhyme that works with Akamara Red. Poor Akamara Red, you're about to be dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty good, right? That was good? Yeah?
We're just gonna say yes.
Okay, good. That's all I needed.
We're just gonna say yes. So Akamari Red, I guess, is dead. But you know what? That's okay. Because he did actually play the support cannon. And I respect that.
And Akamara Red was expecting Bottles to be as gracious as Onion Sheep and let the game go on a little bit longer, but not Bottles. He's like, you know what? Down with EU. I'm ripping you up. Let's go.
How can support cannon lose? He played it on curve.
And he's finger guns, like everything. He had everything going for him. He had his
the
parents
setup.
in his hand.
I want to learn the choreography to that. Akamara Red was so cool. I want to learn the choreography. When he launched the support cannon, he was like all prepared for it. Dang, what a cool guy. Oh my god. Hey, you know what that means? That means NA just took EU, gave him the armbar, gave him the German suplex, you know, pile drive. Look at how much blue stuff is on North America's side. They only lost with Rune.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That seems to be like the common thing lately.
That makes sense. That's good.
Isn't Rune your favorite craft, Exo?
I love Runecraft, okay? That doesn't mean that it's not bad right now.
Oh, rip.
I'm honest, you know? I'm just being honest. It's not bad. It's not bad right now, but it's not at its peak.
I'm a Haven guy. You know, I can admit when it's bad. You know. So, you know.
It is what it is. Cool. Hey, that wraps up the EU versus NA show match. I think we saw a lot of really fun games. It's good to see these players kind of play just for fun and casual laughs here. So I've really enjoyed seeing that. We've had a long day. It feels like it's been a long talk show. Let's get a little bit of a recap for some of the things that are that was announced. Specifically, the next season of the Shadowverse Open. We're going to be doing North America and Europe again, of course. We're playing in the new rotational format that Chronogenesis is going to bring. Also, the tournaments are going to be weekly and open, so everybody's welcome to come participate week after week after week. This will culminate into an invitational finals bracket, so make sure you're participating as much as you can and getting as high placements as you can, because that's going to give you the best chances to play in the invitational. And the first tournaments are going to start January 20th and 21st. And also, as a very cool thing, we're going to be able to introduce monthly Southeast Asia and Oceania tournaments. I'm so excited for that, to see everybody from that region get to compete and play and have an opportunity to play in one of these events. Very excited for that. Very excited for 2018, and also all the new opportunities with, hopefully, more international events, more regions. Always a good thing. So I'm glad that we've been able to do that. Let's start wrapping up the show. Exodium, how did you like all the new Chronogenesis stuff that we talked about and all these things that we've been talking through this today?
Cards, they're going to seem a little mediocre right now, guys, okay? But just wait. Give them some time. Wait for the rotations to kick in. Wait for the new decks to start emerging. The cards are going to look a lot better than they do right now. Outside of that, the design space is great. I love the direction the game's going. I mean, the new format by itself is good enough, let alone them adding a new class and then them changing how the function of the classes work, such as the new Novice Trooper instead of Blood Wolf for Blood, things like that. Just we can start to see the transition. But yeah, wonderful. Chronogenesis, rotation, you know, next season of NGE opening up to new regions and more opens. Like, yeah, everything's looking up.
What about for you, Aya?
Everything he said, and I can't believe I'm about to say this next sentence, but where are the sword cards? I mean, did sword just get deleted? I mean, I wouldn't be upset. Okay.
Don't act so tsundere about it. We already know you're acting like that for Forest.
Sure. So, jokes aside, we're seeing a lot of great things come from Chronogenesis. And I mentioned this before, but any thoughts that people had about the game before now, discard them. They're just not going to be. They're not going to be like what you think the game is going to be when the new set comes out. Wait until the new set comes out before you start passing judgments on anything, because we don't know how anything is going to shape up then.
I do think it'll be very different. Everything is going to change. I think rotation is going to already change things in the introduction of Portalcraft as well. Very excited. I do think I have the similar thought. I want to see the new Swordcraft stuff. I also want to see new Forcecraft stuff. What is the mechanic that they're going to play with and all that good stuff. So, with that, let's oh, too late. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Well, you can do that when we come back. Would like to take some time to remind you guys, the Twitch panel, Discord, you can join it there. Go to that link. Shadowverse Open is going to announce a bunch of stuff there about the new season, and also you can contact any of the commentators there if you add them. You can talk to them, ask them, how do you feel about Portalcraft? How do you feel about Swordcraft? Why do you like Swordcraft so much? You can ask them that to specific cats. I'm not telling you who to add, but you know who to add. You know. All right.
Right.
So.
Vile Forest. Okay. Violet. This is a. I do.
You know what I
okay?
have? You know what I have? Vile you,
Violet.
man. Get out of here.
You know what?
Stop naysaying on Forest, okay?
File him. Get him out of here. He's fired.
You can't fight me. I'm just a filthy
It
casual.
looks like we have some issues in the studio. The people are fighting now, but we gotta go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all of you joining us on this special day, watching the UNNA show match and looking at Chronogenesis. We will see you next season, and also the World Grand Prix, signing out of the season for the last time in Starforged Legends. Goodbye.